Can you guess it? Can you guess it?
It's Friday, my dudes.
It is Friday, my dudes. Welcome to Have No Sphere, right here on the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. My name is Josh Corey, and we've had a bit of a vacation. Friday, my dudes. A bit of a hiatus, right here on the. It's been a few weeks since we've had a chance to sit down and talk to all of our pals on a Friday night. Let's jump right in and see who's going to be on the panel this evening. Starting off with one Mr. Walter Johnson, also known as Flat Earth Head, over there on the YouTubes. Walter, how in the hell are you doing, sir?
Hello, Josh. Just kicking the dust off all these wrenches and gears, and there's the hamster over there running around in the wheel. We have to wake his ass up. All this stuff that we haven't been doing for a few weeks now. So trying to get it going, trying to get everything smoothed out. See lots of folks already popping in chat. I'm not going to start roll calling just yet, but thank you guys for being here. We've already got a couple super chats in there. I will say hey to one Mr. Baldini who dropped one of those for us. Circumlocation on the plane. I like it. And our good buddy Nuka Cola, who will actually be joining us in just a few minutes after we kind of gather ourselves and say hey. So hey, and I'll shut up now and let you say hey to these other fine folks.
Well, let's say hello to Mrs. Cammie Nodell. It feels like it's been forever since I've had a chance to talk to you, Cammie. How are you doing? How have things been?
Oh, I've been doing really good. Things are kind of dead of winter, blasé, but just been focusing on family and making the house that we recently moved into my own. So we are like taking down wallpaper and refurnishing cabinets and again doing things to make it our home. But yeah, I think it was good to take time and like again work on the house, the yard, and family.
Heck
It's
yeah.
Missing everybody. Good to see everybody in chat. Liz, Baldini. Excited for tonight.
Heck yeah. I think it's going to be a good conversation, a good talk. I think we're going to have lots of cool people pop in. Well, since he's not too far away from you, just within arm's reach or close to it, let's say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala. You may know him as Good Times for All over on the YouTubes. Zach, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody. Pretty good. Kind of tired. It was, I didn't get much sleep. My brain has been on overdrive the last week. Little bit of LC King's model kind of clicked, and I did a big giant face palm, like, duh. And I never connected. Once you start learning about how batteries works, it connects even so much more. It's a beautiful, this place is amazing. It really is. But no, I had a really good week. Went shooting over at Karen B's with Karen and Ted. That was fun. Gathered some lead and smelted my first coin this week.
Nice.
Made a big mess out of my crucible. I learned that you don't want to do this stuff when it's like 40 degrees outside. It's a lot harder to keep your furnace nice and warm when there's that much cold surrounding it. So I just need to be patient. When you get a new toy, you just want to play. I couldn't wait. I wanted to smelt something, but I got a little bit of smelting out of my system. Now I'm just going to start collecting more stuff out of the river and go from there. Collect more stuff out of old electronics and stuff. I got a lot of stuff to pull apart. Yeah, there's some neat metals in there. Really cool metals that we throw away. So yeah, should be a fun year for sure.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a few things here.
Yeah, good week. I'm ready for
That's me, Josh.
Ready for the show. Yeah, I think we have some backstage issues taking place right now, folks. Sorry about that.
Here we go. Try that. That might work.
Told you we was kicking the dust off the hamster wheel.
Yeah. Completely out of practice for a Friday night. That's for damn sure.
Well, Zach,
So I know there's another guy sitting over there who hasn't said a word yet. We could just say hey there.
Who? What?
Savage!
Oh, damn it, that's right. John Savage. How are you doing, sir? How's your week been? How have your weeks been?
Damn, what a year. What a bloody year. It's nice to be back. Nice to have a bit of time off, that's for sure. But nice to get out of that poxy bloody year and into a worse one by the looks of things. I was just looking back on some of our shows this time last year, and it was quite funny. It was Cammy and Zach were still in Colorado, and you were still in your old house, and we were talking about rodents in space. And we had Hacksaw on this time last year. We had Hacksaw on the show, the lesser spotted. And yeah, I was being brought to court by some cowboy bastard who failed. And yeah, it's been a bad year, I won't lie. But what I was talking about this time last year was drilling holes in my house. And ironically, that's exactly what I was meant to be doing today if I didn't wake up thinking I was having a stroke. So that didn't happen, but yeah, I'm about to stick another hole in the house because I can.
Just
Because I can. Because I've done loads of research on diesel heaters, and I've got one here in the battle bus, and it works a treat, and it sips diesel. It's so economical, it's unbelievable. So I thought that'd be a really good idea to stick one in the house. So I went looking to try and find other examples on YouTube, you know, as you do, of other people and how they'd done it, and I
You
couldn't
can't learn anything off YouTube.
nothing at all. But I couldn't find anyone. I could not find a single person who has put one of these cheap Chinese burn your house down diesel heaters in the house. So I did the right thing, and it's almost ready to fire up. Just need a hole in the wall for the exhaust and we'll be away. So yeah, watch me go up in flames this year.
So since nobody else has ever been dumb enough to attempt it, you thought it'd be a good idea for you to give it a go, huh?
I thought it would be a perfect chance to stick it in my uninsured house. And yeah, this is why I don't give my location away, you see. It'd be too easy to set me up.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have that option over there, the whole allodial deed.
Oh yeah, we invented it, Zach.
That's what that's if you get one of those, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. You don't worry about permits and you know getting permission.
It's not that easy.
No, I know.
It's
yeah,
like
and
unregistering your birth.
Yep.
Once you
And they can deny you. You know.
Oh yeah, you've got to take them to
Give them
court.
$4,000 or something like that.
You've got to
Maybe
take them
it's
to court.
$2,000.
They will not just do it through paperwork or anything. You've got to take them to court, and then you will fail. You have to take them to an appeal court, and all of this costs time, money, and effort. There will be a more refined way of owning your own house, and I'm getting to that point, but that it will involve creating a private trust, and then they literally cannot touch it then forever, and you won't have to pay taxes or anything on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's ways around it, and you have to fight for it. You know, probably cost an arm and a leg, but yeah, there are ways to own your own land, actually own it.
Working on it, mate. Working on it, because this place is going to be an eyesore when it burns down. Then I'm going to replace it with shipping containers and have a house
wife's
twice the
gonna love
size. She loves it.
Your-
She loves it. I imagine we're one of maybe a very small percentage of houses in the UK that is actually heated with wood and also heats your water from the wood burner. I mean, the hoops I had to jump through to get. Well, that's why this time last year I was being brought to court, because the cowboy that said he could do it couldn't. And when I refused to pay him because I had to pay more than I owed him for a qualified person to come in and actually do it, because everything needs certificates and shit over here if you play those sort of rules. Yeah, that's what all the court case was about. But luckily he pissed off with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, and I gotta say, before we jump off this subject real quick, there are other ways of doing it, but it is a pain in the ass, you know. One of the gentlemen in FE Corps, he lives over in Europe, and he has stuck it to the government so many times using the, well, I'm a man, I'm not your corporation, you know, but then they come after your assets and seize them, and you have to get them back, and it's a real big hassle. You have to do a lot to fight them that way.
Yeah.
But you could fight them in court as well. There's other ways to do it, but getting that allodial deed is really...
Well, the best way is to create a private trust, which you can do yourself for free. In fact, I have one. But then you have to sell your house into that private trust. And then at that point, no one has any jurisdiction to audit you, to even know what's in the trust, who the trustees are, everything about it. It's
That's
private.
how the really wealthy do it.
Yeah,
that's how the really
and that's
wealthy
why
do
we
it.
can get away with it, because they've been doing it forever. All these foundations and things, they're all along the same sort of lines. It's hidden behind a private trust, which is exactly that, private. So naff off to everyone who comes and tries to tell you that you owe them money to live in your own house. It's like, no.
Oh, that's not my house.
No, exactly.
That's not. I'm just here.
I own
enjoying
nothing.
The use and the fruits of this house.
I own nothing. I control everything in my trust. And that came straight from Rockefeller. So yeah, it's no, it's all good. It's all good. I just like belt and braces. I like backups. You know, I like different forms of thing. Most of the houses over here are entirely reliant on electricity, like storage heaters and shit, which are absolute. Apart from they're a rip-off, and electric's so expensive over here. They're you know, you can't control them. You have to predict what the weather's going to be like the next day, and then charge this thing up overnight. And it's just such a bloody palaver that I ripped all of ours out. But I like to have diversity. You know, I like to be prepared. I'm a prepper. So, you know, I have electric heating, I have coal and wood heating, I have now diesel heating, and that's pretty nice for me, because they can cut the electric, which they keep threatening to do anyway. And most houses around here would freeze to death. They wouldn't be able to cook, they wouldn't be able to have showers, they wouldn't have anything. So I'm happy to say that even if they cut the power, I would have power and heating and showers, hot water and all the rest of it. So yeah,
you got a pretty sweet setup there. Well done, sir.
It's getting there.
Now you just need to pick it all up and move it out to the middle of nowhere, and you'd be perfect.
That's exactly what I would love to do, mate. I would love to do it.
Well, no, see, this is just your practice run. Now you know when you go to build that one, remember, you got to put that out there in the ether and make it happen. When you go to build your one, you're going to have the design all down and know how to do it, and
well,
it's
that's
just gonna
it.
slap together.
When the time comes, I think my wife and I will move out of this little bungalow and leave it for the 2 offspring to turn into a crack den, and we'll go and get our bungalow up the road, and I'll recreate all of this in record time, because I know what I'm doing this time.
You know those boys are just going to sit around smoking cigarettes and putting holes in the house. You know that, right?
Like father, like son.
Where's this water coming from?
What's this button do? I'll have to leave a 100-page manual on how to actually run the house, because I don't think anyone would know. I'm like one of those Linux coders, you know, that just will not give up the secrets. So.
John, do you know if they still have to pay council rates if they're in trust? I'm assuming not.
No.
Or is that something the trust has to take care of?
No, you don't. You're not accountable, payable to anyone.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It is.
I mean, I don't mind
But-
paying for people to pick up my litter or pick up my rubbish and stuff, but you know,
Yeah,
1,400
the
quid
thing
a
about it
year.
is
Fuck off.
when you apply, you give them so many thousands of dollars, and even if you get denied, you don't get your any of that back.
No, that's
And
why
only-
the trust route
About
is.
40% of the people actually get it granted only.
Yeah, telling them that you want to come off the land registry and this, that, and do the necessary steps is, it's a long route. I've looked at it for many years, and it's a long, hard-fought route. Yes, they can, if you stop paying your council tax, they can come and try and repossess your house, and you've got to live with that every day, and I don't need any of that shit. So as far as I'm concerned, the private trust route is the way to go, and sell everything you own into the private trust and have your offspring as trustees, so they will never be kicked out of the house either, and you don't have to pay capital gains or any of the other daylight robbery that they take us for these days. 1,400 quid a year to pick up your. I mean, you can literally pay £200 a year to a private company to pick your litter up every week, but we're paying £1,400 a year, and the only benefit of council is picking up your litter. And now they're going. It used to be every week. Now it's every 2 weeks, and now they're going to every 3 weeks. So we're literally going to be living in our own.
That is ridiculous.
It is.
That's a lot of garbage.
That's a lot of
Tiny
money.
little garbage can. They give us tiny little wheelie bins, you know, and that's your quota. So you've almost got to build a hydraulic press to stamp this thing into the bin, and you know, if the lid stays open an inch, then they can legitimately leave it and say
Yeah,
you
refuse.
overfilled it. Yeah, and you're not allowed to put food into it anymore, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. Just leave me alone. I'll sort it myself, thanks. Yeah.
Right. It's when you just start having big block party bonfires.
Well, that's why you get fly tipping around here. It's what they call, you know, because you used to have a communal tip where you'd bring all your crap and you'd dump it. And then they started banning vans and commercial vehicles and charging them and weighing them and charging them. And now they're charging residents. I can't get rid of plasterboard or other things that normally you could just go and put in the dump. So people are just
That's
driving up
crazy.
country paths and dumping all their shit at the side of the road, and that's what you're seeing all over the place. They call it fly tipping. Yeah, it's I mean, it's quid pro quo, isn't it? Of course that's gonna happen. If you start charging people to dump stuff, then they're gonna dump it elsewhere. Lovely humans that we are.
Do not envy that island whatsoever.
Nope.
That's
Now, I would like to see the white walls of Dover, though.
The
think
white
that'd be cool.
walls. You've been painting too much. They're the White Cliffs, darling.
White Cliffs.
Yeah, you don't have to go to England to see
White
them.
cliffs, and I want to paint them black.
You can see them from France. You don't have to come to this hellhole.
But I'm not going to France.
That's an even bigger hellhole.
No, I'd like to go really to Scotland and just go walking around.
I've
through the
never
hills.
been. I've never been there.
Dude, that's just insane. How long have you lived on that little island?
Exactly, though.
Get your ass up there.
No, thanks.
What, a day trip?
Uh,
You could be up there?
no, a day trip is into town to go to the supermarket. And I
No,
haven't done that
you
in over a
you
year.
could get there within 4 hours, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you could.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's a day trip. You
Day
go there
trip
for
or jail tabs at 6 a.m.
I'd rather go to Iceland.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I'd like to see Iceland too. There's a lot of places I'd like to see.
Scotland's still part of Britain, which means, and it's run by even, well, just as lunatic authoritarian assholes that are down here. So I mean, it's even worse up there on many fronts. So, and plus the fact they hate anyone who speaks like me. So just ask chat, I'm sure. Isn't Liz from
What
Scotland?
do they think about Americans?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Scotland looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful. I would love to see Scotland.
England's beautiful. It's just the arseholes in charge that fuck it up for everyone. Excuse my language.
We should clean up all the garbage.
Yeah.
See, as long as it's not big cities, I'd love it. If I could just drive around through the country, that'd be great. Like when I drove around this country, I went into like 2 major cities because Josh lived right near one, and I didn't even actually go in. Actually, I didn't even go into St. Louis, like downtown St. Louis. You know, I avoided those like the plague. And if I didn't go see Josh, I wouldn't have went anywhere near where I went, St. Louis. I would have went way southern Missouri and saw all the national forests, those Mark Twain National Forests in the Ozarks. Man, it's gorgeous there.
I don't think I've driven for probably a year. What's the point? I mean, over here, if I drive, I mean, I'm a magnet.
Yeah, go look around and see it for yourself.
No, I'd end up in a frickin' police cell. That's what would happen. I'd get to the end of the road, they'd pull me over for something because I looked at them funny, and I've just got a big target on my back that says, please nick me. And I wouldn't give them my name, so I'd have to be taken to the station. They'd keep me for 48 hours, probably bum search me and all the rest of it, and that would be my fantastic day out. Nah, you're alright. I'll give it a rest. I like being at home. Far less stress.
Now, Zach did have a purpose though on the drive. It was to get his truck and his dog from Colorado to Carolina, and that is hard to do with the truck and a dog without driving. So, in all fairness, but Josh is not anywhere near the heart of the city, Zach. So trust me, you didn't breach your
Yeah,
you
that's
didn't
what I was
breach it.
saying. No, I went through Kansas City on accident because there was a detour on the highway that went around the city.
Hmm.
And I was like in downtown Kansas City, and I mean there was like 80% of the people driving around with masks on by themselves. That's when it was like real bad going through there in August like that. I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with... That was probably the worst part of the country I saw that I got to see, was when I went through that big city of Kansas City.
Now, when I did that stretch, it was raining, and so I didn't see anybody outside or even notice it. But interesting, we did it we did it a day apart.
Yeah, it was just a bright sunny day. Yeah, it was...
Yeah, I
was
enjoyed
sad.
it.
They can insist on drug testing you at the side of the road for any pullover here. Do you got that over there?
Nope.
That's another reason why I don't bother.
Randall Rhodes in chat said, "Savage bump search is my new non-de plume."
I saw that. Shout out to what's it called? Chat. That's right. Shout out. I saw a few super chats go in there earlier. Are you on that, Walt? Haven't heard from you.
Yes, indeed. We already shouted out the earlier ones, and then we got an additional one. Thank you, sir, for catching us up. That was actually one sent out to you, Savage, from our buddy Brian Gasca.
Cheers,
What's up,
Brian.
Glad you're back in here, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you caught you a shiny snippy yet, Brian? I haven't.
The Pokemon talk.
You see Brian on
Code.
Twitter.
It's all code. Y'all think it's Pokemon, but we're getting ready for that next breach.
They're gonna be at your door now, dude. You shouldn't say stuff
I
like that.
know. Prank caller, prank caller.
I'm not gonna.
Today's show is for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are strictly those of the ether.
Of the
to find
ether.
someone to move the barricades for us. That way we can't be charged with.
Oh, that's how you do it. You gotta have somebody on the inside. I tried to say hello to folks in chat. I know I failed miserably because there's just too many folks in there for me to get them all. So if I missed you, I love you, and say hey, and I'll hey back. But yeah, definitely thank you for picking that up, John. I definitely saw it, and then we got sidetracked and busy, and I forgot it because I'm still playing kick the hamster wheel over here behind the scenes on some stuff.
I'm still getting used to having two screens. It's quite interesting. I can actually see what's going on in chat now, and rather than ignoring it. Yeah, look at me go.
That's probably gonna be my next step, is another screen over here instead of having all this background unnecessary stuff. I'm gonna get a different screen on the side to control other things with. So I'm on that. That's my next project.
Nkuludumu? Duma? I
Yes,
thought it was Nkululeko.
That is.
it
Ukulele.
is.
Okay, no.
Duma being
RH,
the last tribal name.
Randall Rose, Constance Bruns, hello, Constance, the Astral Thief, Nemo's in there, Liz, the Iron Maiden, of course. Liz is in Scotland, I think.
And I do believe that that's bum searched. Savage bum search.
That's what they do here, you see. Because if you don't play game with the custody sergeant, who is your master at that point, then he is entitled to order a bum search. And they do it regularly.
What if you started the whole interaction with the police off by telling them you are looking for someone to search your bum? What are you doing out here? I'm trying to find someone to search my bum. Do you know anybody that would search my bum? You search my bum?
I wouldn't like to take the chance with these guys, to be honest, because I think
No,
that-
most people go to the hospital for that, Josh. They do. Believe me.
and
I worked at a hospital, and the nurses had some stories.
Man, y'all ruined it.
That's because you can't get it done roadside.
wait, it's coming. No, I have a policy of not talking to the police or even acknowledging them. So
I don't answer questions.
a roadside pull is a 48-hour ordeal for me, out of principle. See Horishi in there? G'day, sir. Good man.
If they want your name, tell them to get their own. If they want your fingerprints, tell them to get their own.
I'll give them a name. Just won't be the name they're looking for.
All right, damn it. That's twice now John has started reading the roll call of chat, and y'all have spooked him off. It's like a deer in the headlight. Be quiet. Don't mess that up. That's a rare thing.
It's like seeing the jackalope.
That's what I'm saying, dude. We've seen a Yeti, and y'all are like partying and cutting up.
I think I'm missing what you're looking at. Have you got two chats going or something?
No, but the fact that you were reading the names off was pretty stunning, and I didn't want anybody to mess that up. So we were trying to be quiet, like, shh, don't spook it.
I'll stop.
I knew it. I knew I would ruin it, even pointing it out. I'm sorry. It was just too great. too great. Well, it's recorded now, so we have it for posterity.
But yeah, do you guys remember having Hacksaw on this time last year? Because I'll be buggered if I do.
Vaguely.
Third,
I knew it had been a long time since we had him on. I didn't realize it had been that long.
I remember having him in off-air chat, but I had no recollection, which is not uncommon, to be perfectly honest, with my brain. But yeah, that was quite a turn-up. We need to get him back on, or at least send up the
Well,
smoke
that's a perfect
signal.
segue, sir, for getting folks on, because the plan is to get some folks on here. We have quite a few actually waiting in the wings. If you guys have no objections,
Hell
I'll
no.
start
No.
dropping those links.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, then let me work on that.
While you're working on that, yeah, I'd like to, while you're working on that, if it works, I'd like to address the chat because we have questions about astral projection and about suicide of all things in the chat tonight, and asking people's thoughts.
Well, Nuka is actually one of the people I plan on getting in here in just a minute.
Oh, that's fabulous. Then I'll wait until Nuka is on here. And Nuka, this is Aisling, and I'd love to address these. And he's asking how do you do astral projection? And I started typing in, and it's like, you know what? Oh, I'll be sitting and typing on the chat. There's no way you can answer that in a quick scrolling comment thing. So that's fabulous.
And this morning, Cami, people in chat were talking about Rh negative blood, and your name came up. So I know there's a few people in chat that are very interested on hearing you talk about that again. So you're gonna have to do one of those here pretty soon.
That would be fabulous. I keep on learning more and more. It's something like everything else that I'm working on that, again, it's an ongoing learning. And I've gotten a lot of people interested in it too. And again, the interest, not only me getting interested, the interest is already out there, but I think it's something that really does need to be addressed. And especially with the COVID vaccines and that going, because I do have a bent in it that I do think that these vaccines, again, target your channels, this is all going to connect into Naluka. Is that right? How do you say this?
Unku Laleko.
One more time.
Unku Laleko?
Unkuduleko.
I love that.
Well, here, let's have the man pronounce it for you as he's coming in now. Or he should be.
Yeah, hopefully.
Walt calls him
my
Nuka.
Invites
Nuka
work.
Cola.
Yeah, that's just easier for me. I think I was truly just finishing up playing. There we go. Sorry, too many things happening at once here. But anyway, when we met Nuka, I think I had just finished playing up on one of the games, who knows which one, and it was just too perfect. Instead of me murdering his name every time, I just gave him my nickname.
So
I'm going with that.
Here's where I'm going to get a little giggly. I love meeting new people I've not spoken with before. So this is going to be fun and exciting. Fun and exciting times here on Have No Sphere. We'll just see what the hell happens. See what kind of night this shakes out to be. Mr. Benjamin Balderson popping in for the first time ever here on the Iron Realm as he gets his audio and everything set up. Thank you so much for popping in for us this evening, Benjamin. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for just jumping in. You're muted. You'll have to unmute Zoom.
Welcome, Benjamin.
It wants to mute you automatically.
Yeah. It's an honor to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, what's going on, Benjamin?
Great to have you here. We haven't spoken either, I don't think. It's John Savage here.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Very good.
Yeah, I'm Zach Zabala. Nice to meet you, man. I've heard a lot of good stuff about you, and I love the alchemical way you look at things.
Thank you.
Yeah, you get it.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you guys.
Hi, I'm Walt, Flat Earth Head here on YouTube, and I've been talking with Lucas kind of behind the scenes, trying to get you guys in here for some time now, but the end of the year just got too crazy. I'm sure for you as well. So thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here. And man, I could not wait to get you and Zachary here together because he's also of the alchemical bent and he definitely has a way with it. So getting you two together has been a plan. It's finally come to fruition here.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I've been seeing all the stuff going on out at your new place out there, man. You guys are putting some work in. It's looking great. Keep it up.
Yeah, we're 8 U-Hauls deep and 3 animal trailers plus I don't know how many trucks and other trailers so far. I've only got the cows left.
Nice, man. Getting there.
For those that aren't familiar, Ben, can you give us a rundown of what you've been up to on what's this, a homestead you're building or something?
Oh, you bet. So this last summer, if you don't know me, I'm Benjamin Balderson. You can just look my name up. I'm on YouTube and interviews all over the place. I've got a big one coming up with Crow this week or next week.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. So I best known for occult. I'm a practicing alchemist. I do actual laboratory alchemy, not Jungian alchemy. And I also live off grid completely. So that's a big deal for me is we can trash the system that we're in all that we want, but you don't burn a field that you're eating out of until you have something planned for a new field to eat out of.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So off grid, I mean, we were talking earlier about solar panels and diesel heaters and all sorts of things like that. Have you got, what do you use per off grid electric and heating and that sort of thing?
I got 40 solar panels.
Nice.
And I've got a 8 kilowatt 240 volt inverter.
Wow.
24 L16 batteries. For heat, I got it's called a Santa Rosa. It's a big wood burner that's a rocket stove.
Ooh.
And it's got an oven on the side of it and then a couple burners on top. So we cook off the wood burner and heat our house with the wood burner. I live in the middle of I live right outside the redwood forest here in California, right off the 101. So I've got more down trees than I could probably ever burn in a lifetime.
Ideal. That sounds ideal. That sounds like the sort of thing I'm trying to do, but well, it's not rural, it's not city based, but it's in England, put it that way. So I haven't got a pot to piss in over here, but that sounds like proper off grid stuff. Yeah, I like it.
Oh, you bet. I got milk goats. I got chickens, peacocks, turkeys, ducks, 2 milk cows.
Are you coming under any attack, like because of the way you live and because you're in California? Are you seeing all the? I mean, surely you're a target. You're.
Well, I wouldn't say like they come and actually attack, but what they do is they make life extraordinarily hard for us to live. Like because I live off grid, I went in to open a bank in this new town that we moved in because I just moved my farm. That was the whole deal this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I sold my farm over in Redding. I lived in between Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta, but over there it's high desert at best. So I moved over to a much greener area where I don't have to hay so much. And I can't get an account at the local bank. They won't let me do any of that. It's super hard to shop. It took me, I just got a home phone about 2 weeks ago, and that was after 5.5 months of trying.
What excuse? What excuse are they giving?
11 times. 11 times they were supposed to come to my house. I went out and numerous times sat there for 4 hours because I know my house is near impossible to find. I live like it takes an hour to get to anything that's remotely close to a city with like a grocery store or anything.
Nice.
Yeah. So I understand it's hard to find, but I went out to the end of the drive to the main road and sat there for 4 hours and read a book numerous times. I'm like, and they're like, oh, they couldn't find it. They got lost. Oh, something didn't happen today. And finally, I just lost my shit at like the 10th time. I just freaked out on the people. And I actually chased down a guy because a guy drove by in a Frontier truck, and I'm like, that must be my guy. And I got a Ford Suburban with a 454. So I went ripping down the mountain, and I caught this guy and chased him down and pulled him off to the side of the road. I'm like, are you looking for me? He's like, no, I'm the office guy in Xenia. I'm like, well, and then there's a bunch of curse words and,
But yeah, they don't make it easy, do they? They're really. I mean, even here, they're banning coal that smokes. You have to get smokeless coal, which is just bizarre in itself, and it's twice the price. And I just refuse to do it.
So how is it becoming smokeless? Is it because of the heat? It's a lot of intense heat right away, or are they chemically doing that? Because that would just be so much worse than the actual smoke.
I think they're chemically doing it. These things are formed into like egg shapes or something, and they don't put out anywhere near as much heat as normal bitumen coal, bituminous coal that they call it here. It's all very weird, but these things burn for hours and hours and hours, but they don't put out much heat, and they cost twice as much, and I'm sure it's chemically based without a doubt, and like you say, probably way less than the raw stuff that I'm burning.
Absolutely. The way that it's hilarious right now, because we're in this world where they act like carbon's the giant enemy. And then they've got everybody walking around breathing in their own CO2 all day.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
There's a little ironic.
There's a mental block there, isn't there? We went from carbon monoxide is a killer and it's really bad for you and we should stop making it, like from diesel engines and things like that, carbon monoxide. And then they just morphed it into carbon dioxide. And there's a whole raft of people in society that have not put the two together and realised that carbon dioxide is what you breathe out, what plants breathe in, and they treat it as though carbon dioxide is carbon monoxide, which is a silent, smell-less killer. I agree. But, I mean, how did they pull that off without heavily medicating us forcefully in some way, which has to be...
Well, they have been. That's what fluoride's for.
Yeah, it has to be, isn't it? And that's why I think we're all so docile as well. I mean, I remember...
I grew up on well water. I mean, I had well water till I was in my 20s. I didn't drink city water.
I grew up on artesian well also.
As did I, so that might speak volumes to why we're all having this conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. No, I honestly think that is, well, it's what I would do if I was a dastardly villain, you know. I would poison the water, poison the food, just like it says in the Protocols of Zion. I mean, read that if you really want a shopping list of what they're doing to us. But, I mean, it has to be like that, because I remember 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, when the price of petrol here went over £1 a litre, we were barricading the streets. There was half of France that you couldn't get a ferry across to the UK because the French were barricading their side, we were barricading our side. There were riots, and I mean, when they brought out the poll tax, there were riots in the streets. There were police horses and people actually punching, fighting, bringing sticks and wearing helmets and all the rest of it. Now the price of petrol is £1.50 a litre, and they're literally locking us in our own houses forcefully, and they're talking now until April, killing people in their own homes, and not a whimper, not a whiff of any sort of uprising, or who knows. And then you got fake crap like the Trump thing yesterday. It's just they have to fake their own riots.
I'm an actual heathen, and we're taking so much heat because the jackass that led that was wearing horns. Like, no actual heathen would ever wear horns. Let's start out with that. That's something that was dramatization brought about by the opera. no actual person ever walked around wearing something like that. It's ridiculous.
And the Simpsons, don't forget.
Right. And the Simpsons. But he's got the Valk nut on his chest, tattooed on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's been at numerous things.
Yes,
and all
sir.
this is doing is setting up the culture wars. And the war's been on white culture since it's been open season since World War II.
What camp are you in as to, whether Biden will get it or Trump will get it? I mean, I know we don't give a toss either way, but do you see a curveball coming in the next 2 weeks? Because I do. I don't know.
I can see it happening just because that would basically immediately kick off a civil war. But what I really think is that they tested the water with Trump. And they realize that a lot of people are really, really close to freaking out and jumping behind ultra conservatism. So, which isn't any of the people currently. But what I think is they're going to let Biden and the liberals completely crash the system, and they're going to drum up so much anger and so much hate that's going to give way to an actual jackboot dictator.
Yeah.
And we're going to beg for it.
So
because we're all going to be starving.
The same thing that happened back in the late 30s of Germany, right before Hitler took power.
It's a problem, reaction, solution, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Biden
And
the
they
problem.
followed the same plan. It wasn't just political. I mean, it was the whole gender thing. They were doing the whole. I mean, it's crazy how similar 1930s Germany is to the last decade of our society here in the United States.
And the anti-vaxxers and the anti-maskers are the new Jews, aren't they?
Yeah.
Great.
If the Jews were actually the target, then anyway, it was more the
it was
gypsies. It was, I mean, they do not like gypsies. People who travel around and don't pay their taxes. They don't like them, or the disabled, or the infirmed, the old, the people who, or the herbalists, and the people who don't need big pharma, etc., etc. So, welcome him back, Nkululeko. I was going to ask. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just agreeing with you.
I was just adding Nkululeko back in. He's from South Africa, so I was just wondering if we can get an update on the craziness over there. I heard they'd banned alcohol. We went through this before, and I'm still in shock. But did they do that? Nkululeko, he's muted.
He's struggling with his audio as well. Just so you understand, Benjamin, this show is very relaxed, and this is our first show back for the 2007 thrice year here. So
Nice.
we're having some friends come on and hang out. We were wanting to have, like I said, Lucas is going to get in here in just a few as well. We're going to eventually open up the lines. You just never know what could happen here on a Friday night, but definitely just make yourself comfortable. I see you're actually in the car there, so as comfortable as you can be. Damn it, I understand that.
Yeah, I actually
place to be.
always shoot from the car. I don't have signal out at my house.
That'll work, man. If you're comfortable, I'm happy for it, man. Glad you can be here. But like I said, Lucas will be here in a little while, and there's never any telling. Nuka, are you in here yet, sir?
I am. Hello,
There he is.
everybody.
Hey,
How
Nuka.
you doing, friend? We're just missing you, brother.
Hello.
I'm doing great. How's everyone doing?
Have you not been listening?
Most of us
All right, everybody start over for Nuka. We got to do it all again.
we need to do that. We need to get
You guys always say you're doing good even if you're not, so I never know.
No, I don't. I don't.
Oh,
I'm the
no,
opposite.
I'm gonna tell you if it's a shitty day. Don't you worry.
Actually,
Well,
I
Luca-
straight up was lying. I've had like 5 animals die in the last week and a half because I got a load of hot hay. So yeah,
Oh,
it
hell,
is
that's
really
Oh,
shitty right now.
man.
I hate to hear that, man. I was
Like,
wondering if it was
it's been
stress
insane.
in the move, but yeah, that don't. Wow, I haven't heard that phrase in some years. Hot hay.
hidden.
Yeah, they all got bloat and that was it. It was just bam.
Oh my goodness! Everybody out there, send some good vibes
Absolutely, sending it that way. for sure.
Benjamin's way.
Is hot hay what it sounds like? It didn't dry out or something, or it's
No, it's got
But-
because like part of with my animals, anyways, and a lot of ruminant animals, you can't give them super high protein feed. So sometimes you'll get hay that's got something in there that really spikes the protein or causes them to get bloat, and then they end up getting bloat real bad, and it ends up killing them because they can't really do anything about it.
Jeez, that doesn't sound good.
No, it's horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That sucks. I know.
Sounds
I-
terribly painful for the animals too. I mean, that's
Mm.
what how hard for you to
See it.
have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just kind of lay there and cry, and it's just anybody that knows me knows like if like a bunch of people were at my farm this summer, and it's everybody's just amazed because all my animals are like it's like a petting zoo. They're
Like
all
friends, right?
super friendly, yeah. And I'm a vegetarian, so none of my animals actually get killed, and yeah, it's been a rough.
Jesus, that's shitty. That's really shitty.
Well, yeah, for people
Sorry.
back in the day. Oh, sorry, Nuka. Go ahead, man.
Sorry to hear that, Benjamin. And I had a question for you. When you came in, I know a little bit about you. I heard that you're doing the occult stuff. So I have like another person here with me listening. So if you could just describe what it is that you do on YouTube or make videos or do your research on, what would it be?
It's primarily mostly what I speak about is alchemy, which is going to be the breakdown of whether it's a plant, an animal, a mineral, and what you're doing is you're breaking it down into its component pieces and burning off and getting and extracting out the pieces that you don't want until you only have the oil and the salt and the sulfur, and then you put those back together, bringing the plant to its epitome, and which makes it a stone. And the same thing applies to animal, the same thing applies to mineral, and this makes a medicine and brings it to the highest vibration that it can be, and then carrying that understanding into everything.
Okay.
Wow.
Sounds so much more complicated than I thought it would be.
No, that's
But
a
actually
great
a brilliant-
breakdown.
A brilliant breakdown. 'Cause it is far complicated, my friend.
Beautiful.
It is a complicated topic.
So, Benjamin, have you written a book or anything? Where did you get the info from? Where's your source coming from?
So this is the weirdest thing. So just recently, I've had some kind of. I've always had a hard time because my terminology doesn't match because I don't have classical training. So I've always been a weirdo. I've always done all kinds of experiments and um, all kinds of lab work. Well, then when I was in my 20s, I developed grand mal seizures. I have a disease called Wilson's disease. So I don't process copper correctly, and it'll go and my brain will start building copper up until it basically short circuits, and I fall down and flop around like a crappie for a while. Not as much fun as it looks. So I was making my well, the medicine that they gave me was horrible, and I was still having regular seizures. So
Sorry to stop you. Was it
Go
zinc
ahead.
based? What they gave you?
No, they went and immediately gave me benzodiazepine, clonazepam.
Jeez. So
Dude,
pretty
yeah.
much they wanted to just fry your
Serious?
brain.
That's what they gave my mom on her deathbed. That's insanity.
Yeah, it straight turned me into a zombie.
Yeah, that's what killed her. She was okay till they started pumping that shit in her, and I lost it. Oh man, I'm so sorry, brother.
Yeah, it was horrible. I went up to like 260 pounds. I roll in at about 140. I couldn't even tie my own shoes.
Oh man.
So I tried cannabis, and if I took and made a cannabis extract, I actually don't have any seizures. And I mean, right now, I think I've been 2.5 years without a seizure. Um, so I started making all my own extracts and trying to make that better and better and better. And then some of the works that I was reading and some of the things, and I'm like, well, this is what they're talking about right here. And I started matching it to the old different cosmologies and theologies, And the one thing I never did was read and research classic alchemy. And I've just recently started doing that. And I'm like, oh, well, that's what they're talking about. So I'm basically like the guy right now that I understand how to do all the work. And I really understand the functioning of it better than probably almost anybody else you'll ever meet. But I don't understand I didn't understand what they meant with the mercury, sulfur, all the different terminologies that they were talking about.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, then Lucas and I were going through, and I'm an electrician, and most of these things, and I am a classically trained electrician. I was actually trained by the head of electrical at Colorado University. I was the only field electrician he's ever trained. Um, and so we're putting those aspects together, because at the end of the day, alchemy, you're just breaking it down into densities of energy. And you understand that after the alchemical marriage, when you can no longer separate those things, they were always actually the same thing, just at a different rate of vibration and at a different time.
Yeah.
And when
Wow.
right. So when you
Yeah.
marry them, it's all the same thing.
And they all have, they're all made of the same stuff. It's just the four fundamental, people call them elements. Some other people call them forces in modern physics now, but that's how it gets shaped. That's how the
Right.
energy gets, the energy's changed due to how much it has of each of these things in it.
That,
Your water, fire, air, and earth.
Which when we really look at it, this is something Lucas and I have been discussing recently, is we're just basically talking about carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. So when you're talking about earth, this is just any of your earth. You're talking about heavy carbon, like any living soil is the black soil is the carbon in the soil, um, and
salt.
mixed with water. Right.
Yeah,
And when
the
you're talking about
matrix.
air is just oxygen, carbon. Yeah, it's same thing. Water is just carbon or hydrogen and oxygen.
that's such an awesome story, though, especially when you can guinea pig yourself and
Right.
and help yourself. I mean, I've done the same, and I've recently sort of come out of 25 years of shite. I haven't experienced anything for over a year now, which I'm chuffed about, and that was basically a root canal that was feeding me arsenic and drinking.
Oh no.
Yeah, and drinking distilled water, which was pulling all the shite out of my body. But yeah, after 25 years of suffering horrendous stuff, I couldn't work or anything. It was a nightmare. To be able to cure yourself of these things is just so empowering, so uplifting, and it makes you want to carry on. But just to let you know, we've got LC King on the panel,
My brother.
there you go. And yeah, I just wanted to bring you in, Lucas.
Yeah, thanks. How you going, guys?
Very good,
What's
mate.
up, Lucas, man? Glad to have you here, brother. Been missing having
Lucas.
you out for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
How you going,
thanks, man.
Benjamin? Good to see
Not
you.
bad. Yeah, happy to be on with you, brother. It's you definitely always make things better. And Lucas and I, we might as well just bang our heads together, like dunk, 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 until we have such a headache we can't handle it no more and go to bed and do it again the next day.
Sounds like he's doing that to Zach as well.
Zach,
but
yeah.
how did you and Lucas meet up?
A few years, whenever I have my first Crow episode, Lucas hit me up with an email, and I always try to anybody that has like any serious question or really anything, I try to respond. And sometimes I get caught up and I forget. And I was super busy, and I remember this because I was like, the Lucas's email. I was like, what? This guy is saying some shit, right? And I was like, but I didn't have time, and it took us like 6 months to really, really connect because it was just so busy. But I kept having to come back to it because I was like, this guy is just damn brilliant, and I need to be talking to him. And we've just hit it off ever since.
Wow,
But
that's
definitely,
cool.
and we nearly talk every day trying to work through things and look at different ideas and see how they fit with old mythologies and um, the alchemical stuff and then the electrical stuff. So Benjamin's been awesome, especially when talking about electricity and things like that. So he gets it straight away, and just sort of with two minds going at it, it makes a huge difference. That's for sure.
And now you got Zach as well to add to the mix. I'm expecting wonders out of you guys, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like turning into the middleman between. So it's good that we can sort of bring people together with different ideas and different viewpoints and see what we can work out together and make some progress. And that's what really I'm all about as well.
Well, that's the way to do things, isn't it? I've got to ask Kula Leko, give us some good news from South Africa, for Christ's sake.
Sorry to report, there is no good news in South Africa. It is just as bad as the rest of the world right now. Probably worse.
How are you coping, mate?
We're trying to. We have a curfew. So right now, it's 2 a.m. where I am. Well, 10 past 2. And I can't go out. If I decide I want to go out and get a drink, I'm going to be stopped by cops and get arrested. So.
Now, is this COVID related or is this political related?
It's COVID related.
And are the cops as bad as they are all across this plane? Are they?
Nah, just bribe them. They'll let you go.
Oh, well, at least you can bribe them. Good grief. No one's got any money over here to bribe anyone. They've just got to get bum searched.
Now, do you know about the other countries in Africa, around South Africa? Are they doing the COVID lockdown as well? Or is that just a South African thing?
Pardon? I didn't catch the question.
Like the other countries there in Africa, are they also on lockdown right now? Or
A lot of them are on lockdown, but some of them aren't on lockdown. Some of them are just saying this is all bullshit and carrying on with life. But majority of them are on some kind of lockdown, and some of them, if you look at Uganda, for example, they're on a heavier lockdown than us. Like basically, the economy has stopped. Our economy is still kind of going a little bit, but they're still losing a lot of jobs.
I mean, I heard a place dear to my heart is Tanzania, where the president throughout the World Health Organization said stick your vaccines where you should stick them, and your PCR tests and everything, they're not going to use them anymore. I mean, is that just fake news, or? I like to think it's real.
One of our Supreme Court judges a couple of weeks ago said, may the Lord, I can't remember exact words now, but he was saying, may the Lord banish all of those who would give us the mark of the beast in the form of vaccines. And our Twitter went crazy about it.
I'll take that. I'm not a mark of the beast sort of person, but yep, I'll go along with that. Because it was the president of Tanzania, I think, that was using the PCR test to test kumquats and
the paw fruit. And the paw fruit.
Yeah, and a goat, and they gave them names and ages and everything, and they all came back positive. And and there was an Australian MP that tested in the House of Parliament or whatever they call it over there, the sheep shed, that they were testing a can of Coke and it came back positive. And but you hear these stories and nothing happens. They just the train just carries on rolling forward, doesn't it? It's like, it's mad. Sorry, Zach.
Well, look at what Gaddafi was doing. That guy for years was going to the United Nations and saying these people are the devil, this and that. This is crazy. What are you? They didn't stop him then. They only tried to stop him when he tried to change the money.
Yeah, I was about to say that, you know, the Tanzanian president can do and say whatever he likes, as long as, for lack of a better word, America and the powers that be don't have anything, like the country doesn't have anything that they want. So they can say and do whatever they want at the moment.
Yeah.
But you look at the situation with Gaddafi, a project that took 40 years to do is destroyed in less than 4 minutes. In less than 4 minutes, it got bombed. That's a crime against humanity, and nothing was ever done about it. And look where Libya is now.
Bombing aquifers to turn Africa green. I mean, the conditions and stuff you read about the Gaddafi regime would boggle Westerner, you know, if they were given the same benefits and things like that. But yeah,
a basic utopia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
how it should be.
Our country took a lot of flack when he was wanted internationally, and he came to visit South Africa. And I don't know what happened, but word got around that he was in South Africa and that we needed to arrest him and hand him over. And I don't know what happened, but our country just like, oh, okay, yeah, they're after you, go. And they let him go, let him slip through our borders and everything, and he flew back home. And then we took a lot of flack for letting him go because he was wanted.
Yeah, I think a lot's going to come out about these so-called despotic leaders that we were told were boogeymen as children, and when you actually find out what they were doing, it's gonna blow people's minds. But I remember working for I was officially, I think, working for the Dar es Salaam University in Tanzania, and it was only quite recently, maybe 5-10 years ago, that I found out that university is owned by Rockefeller, and and what I was doing in Africa was setting up marine, what they were calling, marine parks, green parks, where you weren't allowed to fish and things like this. And the UN had their motorboats. They had the fastest boats on the east coast of Africa, and they were basically stopping the locals from fishing, saying that they were all dynamite fish. This is what they were telling us, that they were dynamite fishing off the reefs on the east coast of Africa, or Tanzania. And they were blowing up all these coral reefs, and there were going to be no fish ever left. And I mean, I was out there as a scuba diver, and it was the marine life was just unbelievable. I mean, it was just so abundant, so clear. So it was coral that had been growing for God knows how many years. But it was compared to off the coast of Plymouth in the UK, it was. I mean, this was like the Sistine Chapel compared to, a downtown toilet in Plymouth. In comparison. But yeah, so I was unwittingly part of the Stop the Africans from Fishing crew.
And the worst part is whenever they do that, immediately that is what the powers that be is gonna do. Whatever they've accused these other people, like in America here, very similar to the Gaddafi situation, you got the Bundys, who they paint to be these backwoods hillbillies that just like hate everybody, and you just need to go get them because they're white. And and for no apparent reason, they went in and tried to destroy all their water out in the Nevada desert that was making it so animals and things could grow and animals could survive. And then when they went to Oregon and went after that group in Oregon and claimed that they were burning the fields, and that they went in and charged them with arson. Then immediately after that, the government went in and torched that entire field, like torched the whole thing after hitting these guys with arson for that.
It's completely backward, isn't it? It's the classic maxim of accuse your enemy of what you're doing. And we fall for it every bloody time. It's crazy.
It's like that worst ex you ever had, ever.
or your sister or something, you know, that you're arguing with, that are accusing you
Right.
of doing what
Yep.
they're doing to
Exactly
you, and
what
it's
they were
like,
doing.
and it
Exactly.
works every time, and your mum slaps you around the head, and yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. It's like this calling people conspiracy theorists still. I mean, who cannot live through 2020 and not think there's a problem with calling people conspiracy theorists in a derogative way? It's just crazy, absolutely
Well, I
crazy.
did. It was insane. Jaron had missed the bus, so I ran him to school, and I was on the way back, and I just flipped the radio on. I usually don't listen to the radio, and I just flipped it on, and I hit the scan, and I was seeing, and there was a talk show, and it was 101.1 out of South Carolina. I'm not sure what the channel's called or anything, but they were making fun of COVID, like multiple jokes in a row, all about COVID being nonsense and a big joke. And I thought I was in the twilight zone. I was like, okay, can I fly right now? Am I dreaming? I tried to start floating and I couldn't. I was like, nope, I'm not dreaming. This is happening. Holy shit. I can't believe they're sitting here making fun of COVID on, an FM radio show.
But
So
but
people,
nothing will come of it, though. That's the thing. You hear these things, and you hear the ridiculousness of, the head of Pfizer saying that their vaccines are sterilization, and then nothing comes of it. It just the juggernaut just keeps going. It seems.
What's
I
likely
think
to come up is that little 101.1 out there in South Carolina is going to go viral, and you have the whole cancel culture going to come down on the fucking top of their heads and going to get them all fired for spreading fear and misinformation, and it's dangerous talk like that. You'd be surprised at kind of
it's
crazy.
dangerous to our democracy, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's what this guy that the people that just charged the Capitol, all that's doing is setting us up for martial law. Straight
Mhm.
setting us up. There's no two ways about it. The guy, they went in, they had no real clear agenda. What was going in and looting the Capitol ever going to do that was going to be productive? You can't tell me that 250,000 people, tens of thousands of people on the lawn, not one strategist, not one tactician. Like, no, it's just a bunch of people wanting to loot. That's such a setup. This is as bad as every regime change that we've ever watched.
Well, yeah, and if it was really happening, you wouldn't see any video from that. Definitely not live, at least. I mean, the military has all kinds of little devices. They push a little button, and all radio frequencies in the area they scramble. They can't do anything. They were using this over in the Middle East,
I
Iraq, and
wonder.
Afghanistan.
I wonder if they had a policy where you weren't allowed to take your laptop or your computer out of that building, and because I noticed they went and took Pelosi's laptop or something, and maybe that was the whole point of it. It's another Hillary Clinton laptop, because the best friend of the guy with the bison helmet was Nancy Pelosi's sister's husband. Doesn't that sort of ring bells and whistles? And
Yeah, but what Zach's saying is right. They could hit again instead of dealing with any or all of that. All they'd have to do is on any type of crisis, hit a button and cut out all radio contact, and then again, you lock off the perimeter and make sure nobody gets phone or stuff on the outside until you control it or contain it. You can. That's containable. I know just even crossing over the border into Canada, as soon as you get within 100 yards of the Canada border, radio stations, everything, your cell phone doesn't work, your radio stations don't work. I mean, you talk about it just being used in like writing on the military, what they can do. You see it in use every day.
Well, I got a friend named Steve Poikinen. He's the host of Slow News Days, and he was actually in the Capitol and at that place. And he said that there was no resistance to try and letting people. He said they were just openly letting people walk right in. He very succinctly described a guy wearing an anonymous mask, and I can't remember what the other character was wearing. Very, outstanding characters. Went up there with that Free Assange banner, and and Steve said it was like the Red Seas parted. They just let these guys go up and hang this giant banner on the Capitol building. He said,
I have footage of them opening the
Like they're
barricade.
invited. Oh, they were.
yeah, like they were invited. Yep.
Is it not a
There's
public
an
building?
An article on Politico or somewhere today I was reading, and in it quotes about the strategic failure of the Capitol Police. Where was their strategy? And the word got out on Thursday that they evidently twice turned down outside offers of reinforcements during all of this.
But isn't the Capitol building, isn't that a public building? Isn't that open to the public? Owned by the public? Like over here in the UK?
Well, when you have the type of hearing going on and that, I think they definitely can restrict who comes in anyway and metal detectors and do, at the Capitol, they can certainly prevent what happened there. They have the security.
Well, of course they can and do and have everything in place.
Right.
It's just like on Twitter yesterday or the day before, whenever this shit happened. I wish I could find the tweet. I was looking for it a minute ago and I can't find it, but it was basically, "Dear government, don't know who that was in DC today, but it wasn't us. When it's us, you'll know."
Let's just summarize this whole thing. We live in a crappy world. So on that note, Cammy, tell us how to invent our own world with your astral projection.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, astral projection, should we tip it into astral projection? I don't know if I do it by the book. I haven't studied anybody. I just do it on my own, by my own dreaming. And what I've just pretty much learned is that when I go into dreamland, I can take control of my dreams, and that's what I am calling astral projection.
Well, that's lucid dreaming. And that's
So maybe that's the
different.
wrong, I probably have my terms wrong on it then. So not
Or at
astral
least for
projection.
me, it's different. When I do those two different things, they are definitely two different.
But the lucid dreaming, I can take control of and go places and take control of the dreams.
100%. That's almost more fun and better. For
So
most
to
of
me,
the
it's
time.
like
Usually when it's
I can-
astral projection, it's battle time.
Yeah, but an astral project is like I can go astral, I can do things in my dreams, but I don't know. So where does one end and the other start?
To me, I always
Astral
know-
projection, your spirit actually leaves your body. You're not imagining. Like in a dream, what you're seeing isn't happening. An astral projector, I should be able to go over to your house and look at what you're doing, go back to my house and report to you, like call you on the phone. Hey, how you enjoying reading War and Peace?
I think, or I don't know, I don't get it that strong, but I did visit and see people in that. It's a
It's a
my
fine line.
in other words, my conscious does leave my body, or the other. In other words, I see it as is connecting with your higher self or other body, but it's like I feel like you leave your body entirely. It's not dreaming that you're in this body. I don't know, you see it's like you're living twice.
It's like
Well,
astral
I think Benjamin
projection.
I think Benjamin got it right with the way he was explaining it. I understand lucid dreaming, and sometimes I can do that too. But the astral projection part of it, of leaving your body and actually seeing your body there, that you're there and whatever, your spirit, your soul, whatever it is, going to another place and seeing what's happening, and then coming back. I remember reading something like that. So it's different from lucid dreaming.
It's like
But
lucid.
that's what I mean is I do that in my dreams. I do see my body and I go outside of it and that.
But it's like
That's what
lucid dreaming is like playing a video game or something. But astral projection, it was like used by the CIA and that sort of thing to go into the bunker of an enemy and see what their map said and this sort of thing. It was more sort of based in reality.
That's more remote viewing, and that's.
There we go, remote viewing again. Yeah. Do you remember Donald Stott, Walt?
Oh yeah, very well.
Yeah, on Twitter, good friend. Yeah, in a bad way, good friend. But he was doing astral projection to visit his daughter, in his dreams, and his daughter would know this when she woke up, sort of thing, that dad came to visit and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, but if we can get a definition between astral projection,
So for me, when it's the difference is more in lucid dreaming. You're in the dream when the thing begins. You become aware of the dream state, or you're actually pursuing it as a actual practice, a nightly practice that you're trying to improve that muscle, if you will. And you're in a dream state. You become aware of that dream state through cues, your hand, whatever you're using. And in that state, you're in the mental state of whatever the fuck a dream is. You're bringing in stuff, you're dealing with crap, whatever dreams truly are to you. If that's the real world and we're in the dream world, aboriginal, whatever it is, you can do a lot more manipulative playtime stuff in dreamland. But it takes a simple frequency shift to take it astral. And at that point, the playtime stuff kind of goes away and you're looking at like auras around things and you're seeing more real shit that's really going on than the fun I can fly and I'm playtime. And I don't know if that even makes any sense at all. It's a feeling, a gut thing. And I always know when it's been astral because I usually am struggling to get my body back and I'm having to make myself breathe and reconnect to the physical self. And I don't do that when I'm lucid. And I
Okay.
probably just broke everybody. Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
that makes perfect sense. I've
that
done all
made
three,
yeah.
but I've never really liked to do the astral projection stuff because I've only really done that sort of twice, and every time I've felt myself out of my body, I'm like, what? And just we'll go.
Didn't go anywhere, right?
Yeah,
Just
well,
kind of
one
hovered
time I
above
was
your body a little bit.
Nah, one time I was I didn't even mean to. I was just at work and it was a hot day and we were just sort of what we were on standby in case there was any fires. And basically I was just laying on a beanbag and then all of a sudden I felt myself going down the driveway of the work. So going out the entrance. And so then from there I sort of woke up all really sluggish and feeling horrible. The other times have sort of been when you do meditation and you'll just feel yourself lift up and sort of sit above yourself. And then,
That's sort of a different thing too, I think, actually. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and then you have the ones where you're lucid dreaming, and that's where you say you got your cue and you look at your hand and um, all of a sudden you become more conscious and it takes a real effort to actually stay conscious in that dream state as well. So you've got to it's like like you said, a muscle that you got to work to actually start becoming and because sort of this is how I see dreams is they're a reflection of your outer life internalized. So everything you see in the dream is basically aspects of yourself. It's almost like you're, holding a cube and you're spinning that cube around and looking at it in different different angles and things like that. But from there, if you get a certain emotion, it's a lot more, it's quicker than our concrete reality, where things take time to manifest and you have to send out a clear signal and wait. Whereas dreams, they're much quicker and they'll reflect what you're feeling really quickly, and you can end up in a sort of a bit of a painful spot if you don't know what you're doing, or you're reflecting some of your own negative sort of aspects in a sense. So yeah, hopefully that helps to clear it up. And the one where you're seeing from afar or something like that, I've tried that, but the images I've got back were just almost like they're a little bit off and not quite reality in a sense. But yeah,
The
you could go.
phase.
It's just to me, I think that was a weaker muscle as well because I played around with it a lot. I got to know a guy named Courtney Brown from the Farside Institute out of Florida at a few conventions years and years ago, and got into that whole group. They were looking at Hale Bob and it's lots of stuff. I don't want to get into a 4-hour show, but yeah, that again, a muscle, a group of things that just don't normally get used in our day-to-day life that we used to use all the fucking time until we all got TVs and frequencies around us that fuck it all up. I don't know. I think all these are just different aspects of just different senses. Like we have 5 senses. No, we have probably 30 senses, and some of them are astral projection, and some of them are remote viewing, and some of them are psychic talking, and some of them are freaking telekinetic, whatever it is. It's all different senses that we just lost because they've dumbed us the fuck down so much. Sorry, I hate to be ugly about it, but it's frustrating sometimes.
I think that was really, really well described. And I think I can answer now on the thing that what I do is I think I start off with lucid dreaming, and that's where my bump off is into projection is in a very, very light lucid dreaming. That's how, when you said, how do you get to astral projection? That's where I jump off because I can relate to all the different experiences you're saying, Walt. I've done the hemisync work and all the Robert Monroe, and I've done all of that through the
Completely
years.
left that off the table. Thank you. Yes, that's a whole different.
So I've had
group of
meditation
muscles.
training and different muscles and that with the dreaming. I've again, usually when I go into dreamland, I do it meditating. I meditate myself into lucid dreaming, and then I pop into, if I want to do, again, whatever needs, wherever the dreams take you.
I mean,
sometimes it's astral projection. Yes.
How are you always able to lucid dream? Like every time?
No, I have to be in a very good calm state of mind. I have to be relaxed. I can't be anxious about things, or it's hard to describe, but I have to be at ease and at peace.
I mean, I can't be smoking too much weed, that's for sure. So I don't get any of this.
Cannabis interferes.
What about you, Josh?
Cannabis doesn't. It helps me with me. The cannabis does not hurt at all. It relaxes.
Really, you're a rare person.
Josh,
Really.
you ever had any
This
interest?
panel is different, but for me, when I'm really wanting to do serious dream work, and I know there's something I've got to work on, I definitely slack things way down for that reason.
It goes the opposite. Any type of opiate, it would be a complete block for me. I could not. I feel like I disconnect entirely, and I don't like any kind of opiates. For that reason, they make me dizzy, feel disconnected, and feel I couldn't. That you space out and lose things instead of connect. But marijuana, I'm fine with.
Because I've heard you don't dream when you smoke weed.
Oh, I do.
More the recall than the actual dream. You may have a better recall system than some of us can. It might be your benefit there.
That might be it, or again, I meditate going
that's
into
what I
it.
was
I think a tons, and I think again maybe going into dream world thinking about dreaming.
Planning.
And a lot of the
that's what I was
times,
gonna tell Nuka is you really it's a practice, man. It's like there's some real rough and quick things you can do to practice and work those muscles. One of the 101, like lucid dreaming. Right now, write a little C in your hand with a marker or a pen or something, and all day long.
Benjamin, sorry, Walter. Walter. Carry on.
And then in your dreams, you start doing that as well. Start looking at your hands, because your hands are always a tell. They'll be weird. They'll be different. The C will be different. It'll be backwards. It'll be upside. Something will let you know, oh shit, this is dream time. And that's when you can start manipulating it. And then you also want to keep a dream journal right there by the bed. Write your dreams down, because dream
never done that.
Is the key. Well, you have the recall obviously built in naturally. Most people have a hard time. Within 10 seconds, you start losing those things.
You got to eat cheese. You got to eat cheese before you go to bed.
Apparently, cheese, John. I didn't. Moon cheese
or honey.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, I know a lot of the times with like again the calming and the meditation and just even like a musical tune, like I don't know, just where you're zoning and going there. A lot of it is like if I wanted to learn something, I'd be focusing on and imagining as a picture what I want to learn. If like I want an answer to something, or if I'm worried about somebody and want to send a prayer, I try to visit where I imagine their house to be. I try to locate the feeling as much as I can. So that might be more of a projection, where the first one might be a lucid dreaming, but I usually go into sleep with strange intentions, and usually it's to like answer a question or to see more, just to see and understand more on how things work, or on how how it looks, or how it seeing like the auras with the trees and how it comes together. when you're talking about the minerals, I focus on the minerals just because my background is a gemologist. So I've had a lot of experience in that. So when you're talking about putting it together, I'm visualizing and doing it in a nice way to visualize it. When you're saying the different shapes or that things are just the same, but the alchemy, you pull it apart or put it together until it's at its purest. Imagine the same things coming together in little charges or little configurations, making platonic solids, your sacred geometry. And when things go into mineral, they're hard enough that you can detect. So you can detect what those little shapes are. So you can tell by where they would cleave as they're growing, where the lines would be in there and that. So as you get into the hard, you start to, in the hard minerals, you can take your gases and your liquids and actually get more of a tangible feeling or visual on them. And then you can apply it and again, space it out. But I'm loving our topics tonight. I'm loving what you do, Benjamin. I'm not familiar with your work, but I can tell I want to be.
Well, Benjamin, did you come by
Benjamin,
it naturally, or were you just like, is it something you started practicing as you began doing your own work, trying to heal yourself, or is it something you've done since a kid, as far as astral or lucid? Because I know some people come by it pretty naturally as children.
Benjamin, before you answer that as well, with what Cami was talking about when she's lucid dreaming or astral projection, are there any like ointments or medicines or stuff that help the process along? Because I know some ancient civilizations use that for spiritual work. They would take a herb or eat something and then get their minds into a higher state of vibration or something.
Absolutely. So mugwort is going to be kind of a go-to for dreamtime stuff. Trying to use mugwort, burning that, using it in a tincture. That's going to be a real good one. I agree that I've heard numerous times from all kinds of people that cannabis, for most people anyways, obviously not everybody, but for a lot of people, cannabis will stop dreams. I personally don't have dreams. I don't believe science when science says that everybody dreams. Just because your brain has activity doesn't mean that you know what's going on. I have three. We all have three minds, and my three minds. Most people don't ever take the time to realize that they have multiple minds, and don't actually start working with them. And so, in my opinion, what a dream is your dense mind or your animal mind, because your dreams don't have complicated words. It's all about ideas and feelings. That's your dense mind, and your dense mind, which feels a certain way, it's trying to express itself. And most of us, we work out of our ego and out of our high mind. So when those two, which speak English very well and eloquate in that way, well, it's just like when you were a kid and you were frustrated and you couldn't actually come up with the words to describe what your problem was. Words just don't cut it sometimes. And while I'm very in tune with my three minds, I don't think I dream because my minds are openly active and all represented, where I think most people, they shut down their ancestral mind or their dense mind and operate solely out of ego or out of, especially in today's society, everybody's about opening up the high mind. But here's the thing, as an alchemist, I don't just epitomize the oil. Otherwise, everybody making essential oils would be an alchemist, and essential oils would be curing the planet. But essential oils need to unlock the salts, which is, you need to epitomize the low end also. So you're not just going up, you're going up and down in epitomizing both, and then putting the both back together in the same place at the same time with the alchemical marriage. So with all this, everybody wants to ascend and unlock their pineal and unlock their crown chakra, and it's all about purple, and it's all about ascension. But if you are not unlocking your root equally, you have no power to go with it. It's all about, just like with electricity, electromotive force needs an anode and a cathode. And if you set up one side, but you don't set up the other side, there's no power between them.
I think you just broke a few brains here, Benjamin. Thank you. That was awesome, man.
That was really awesome.
Yeah. It's just Mother Nature equaling everything out.
And that's
Yeah,
sort of
if-
the
Okay, I think we covered the astral projection part of the conversation we were supposed to have.
We're just scraping the surface here, man.
I will need to go pretty soon because it's almost like 3 a.m. here. I just wanted to ask that other question that I asked in chat about suicide.
Absolutely. That's another interesting topic that I saw finally in chat. I missed it when you first posted it. That's why I was a bit concerned. I know you're dealing with shit there, but yeah, that's a deep one. Before I go on about it, why don't the panel address it? What's your take on that, Benjamin, as far as what we've been taught, what people believe, what you believe?
Yeah, there's a reason that that's not good in any cosmology. There is basically not a single culture where that's a good plan. You know, you just don't do that. It's not a good deal. I'm not 100% sure what you're doing to yourself, but it can't possibly be good. At the very least, from my understanding, all your memories, and especially your ancestral memories, are in your cell salts. And those are going to sit there, and those are going to be passed on, because the way the circle of life goes is if a plant dies out in a field, the first thing that happens is the water evaporates off. That's that's a piece of the earth. That's one of the elementals. Then your oil is going to evaporate off. This is a part of you. Then now your carbon and your body is going to start rotting, and your carbon's going to leave until it gets to the point where the salt is finally released. Now, when that salt releases, it's going to go down and the oil evaporates, so it's going to go up. This is the natural order of things. Now, the up's going to cool off, fall down, and the salt from the bones is going to rise up again, and a new person's going to happen, but it's a different person who doesn't have access to those salts, because now you've basically taken the oil of a new person and matched it up with the salt. So now you're going to have to go through all that work again.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Wow. Do you think that oh wait, let's not start that yet, but hold that bookmark, Benjamin. We're going to come back around to that with reincarnation in just a few minutes. Holy shit.
Well, what I thought was quite interesting was when I was reading the book of Adam and Eve, and the amount of times they committed suicide. And I was just wondering if that had any bearing on this conversation.
I forgot that too, John. That's awesome.
They just kept throwing themselves off cliffs, and then they kept coming back. And I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I agree with you, Benjamin, that I don't think in any circumstance it's a good thing. Who knows what happens if you do it or when you do it. Yeah, the Adam and Eve book was incredibly interesting, I thought.
Well, personally, I've gone back and forth with this topic. Unfortunately, I've had people that I knew really close to me over my life that have committed suicide. It's something that's hard to grapple with and understand at a personal level. But looking at it research wise or whatever, just trying to understand how it's been presented throughout history. One of the things we've kind of discovered is if certain groups of people think or say or preach one thing, you could pretty much turn that on its head. The exact opposite is most likely true. And that is one of the strictest things that I remember people that took catechism and all the classes in Catholic school, that, you know, how horribly bad a sin that this is, that it's one of the worst sins you could have is to commit suicide. And it just then so flipping that on its head, it's like, well, maybe that's one of their little mind tricks. And that is the easy reset to this fucked up game sometimes when you just can't deal with it anymore. But then it's back to that whole, exactly what Benjamin's saying is, okay, so what do you lose by that? Do you have to go completely back to start? Do you lose all the point of being here, the growth, the learning, is it just like a reboot, a reflash of BIOS to your computer? Because I've been doing these things of late. Is that what that does? Is not just start you over, but just flash you completely. It's a fresh start and you got to do it all again, that kind of thing. So yeah, these are all things I've been dealing with. So it's a timely question, Nuka. What about you, Lucas? What's your take on some of this?
Well, I was going to say there are books that show how to leave your body, and it sort of goes along these lines of sort of astral projection and things as well. But certain sort of, I guess the Buddhist sort of ideas where, yeah, they actually show you and teach you how to actually leave the crown of your head and make it easier at that time. So when it's your time to leave, you just leave, and it's not something to be afraid of. You sort of track the path before you even go there, in a sense. There was one book I read where this guy would basically do that sort of kundalini, or where he'd move the energy up the spine further up above his head and keep it moving back and forth. So he done that for nearly 3 days straight, and then they said there was a little a soft bit that sort of occurred in the top of his head, and they put a little bit of a grass, a bit of grass in there, and that basically held it open. So yeah, diving into this stuff is definitely worth people looking at the different cultures, how they approached it, and things like that, and their ideas on. Um, yeah, the other thing is that a lot when you look at the Egyptian stuff, we have the masculine moon and the feminine sun, and there's reference, you get your heart weighed and things like that, and go through that sort of trial to see if you're, honorable, I guess, light as a feather, and then you go to the moon in that sense as well. So there's a correspondence between that. The moon's not only as a fertility and life, but it's also got this death and resurrection story that flows with it, just like the moon phases. So you'll have a new moon where there's nothing there, and that's sort of the death, and then it comes back to full life again, and it goes through its little cycle. So it's sort of speaking to this idea of reincarnation and where to go. So it's interesting as well, especially when you look at electrically as well.
That damn David Icke, right again, eh? I don't know. Josh, I want to hear from you, man.
Well, Liz in chat just put this. She says she doesn't feel like she belongs here. And I've always sort of felt that way. Sort of something in the back of my mind, some sort of foundational precept says that, wait a minute, I've done this already. I'm not supposed to be back here. And then, of course, there's the foundational ideas that there is reincarnation and I've had to accomplish things. But for some reason, I feel like I've been recycled when I shouldn't have. And I shouldn't be here. Like, I've already done this. I've put my work in. Why the hell am I back here? There's always been that sort of vibration, that sort of knocking at the back of my mind.
Yeah, I've had the exact same feeling, it's like, you sent me back again? Why am I here? I don't need to do this again, but, obviously there's a reason and you just got to accept it. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
I love Liz's comment in chat about the about suicide, and it was the fear of the next world being worse than this world that stopped her, and I'm like, there is always that. I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side, but maybe the lesson is to make this world, this reality that we're living, into the best world we can make it into, rather than, I mean, it always, in a computer game, you can always escape, commit suicide, and start again.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. Let's say there's a group of hackers that hacks into that game and they figure out a way to just fuck your character over And so you keep having to go back to start over and over again. You lose all your equipment, you lose all that training, all that leveling up. You just go back to start. You blank it all out, and you're like, oh shit, what am I doing here? TV, cool. Fluoride water, I don't care. Let's do it all. Whoa. There's this whole idea that there are some things here eating off of our energy, the loosh idea, if you will, Monsters Incorporated, if you will, and that we have all, most of us, been tricked into fucking coming here time and again to fix Aunt Betty's broken cookie jar or Uncle Henry's broken heart or whatever the fuck they tell you that grandma met you at the light hole to, oh, you got to go hug Billy or whatever the fuck. And now you're back here going, what am I doing? I finished this stuff. What am I doing here again? Hell, I get that feeling sometimes when I find that thread and find my body again and start breathing. It's like, really? I'm back in this shit? So yeah, I get that. And that's why I do think that there might be more to this suicide thing than we've been led to believe.
I'd
Well,
love, I'd
I'm
love
done.
thoughts on this too, but go ahead.
No, and I'm saying
as
I'm done this round because I've fucking played too many fucking times. I'm over it.
well, as an alchemist, the entire thing is that you need to do the great work. If you don't do the great work, if you don't alchemically marry your sulfur, your mercury, and your salt here by choice, if you do not die before you die, then you get to reset every single time. And until you actually go through the great work, not just knowing things, not just having figured things out, you have to actually go through the work, through the sacrifice. And that sacrifice, no matter which example we're talking about, whether it's Odin who hung up for 9 days on Yggdrasil with his own spear pierced into his side and refused all food and drink from anybody else, or you're talking about Yeshua carrying the cross and going through such pain that he was literally sweating blood. No matter which story that you're talking about, that the Mercury figure in the story who's actually going through the great work, that guy's going through hell. He's going through the ganja bar, and realizing that pain only exists on this earth. It doesn't exist in your salt nor your oil. That pain is all in the earth parts, and you need to realize that earth parts belong to the earth. They aren't even of you. It's what's holding you together right now until you do the great work, because until you do the great work, your oil wants to rise and your salt wants to sink. So that carbon, water, and cellular material are locking it together because your two sides are trying to go opposite. Your job is to figure that out on your own, make the break, put them back together in the alchemical marriage, because once that happens, they're exactly the same. They don't go opposite anymore. And now you're cooking.
Benjamin, do you think that people knew this to a greater extent a long time ago? I mean, you said you're an academic of their, reading their material. Do you think people knew much more about this? Like, say, the Egyptians with their burial rituals and everything else. Do you think they knew this, and maybe now we are just a bunch of people that keep reincarnating, and we're the fuckwits maybe, that haven't realised what it is, because we've been dumbed down, clearly, with lack of knowledge and stuff. But do you reckon that's the thing? They knew more about this in the old age?
I think that the society goes through cycles. So I akin this to my alembic. And when I start out my alembic, it's a root society, and it's all right down on the bottom. So you guys stop. So society would be the liquid on the bottom. Well, then as time progresses and the heat takes over, all of a sudden this cloud will start forming. And it's right on top of the fluid in the bottom. So I call this the ego phase. And then eventually that same society rotates up and it becomes a cloud on the top. And this little tendril is all that connects the root in that cloud. And at the end of that, a couple drops will make it up out of the alembic, and the rest of that cloud will crash down into the root. So if we look at society, as society starts out, we're concerned with family, with food, and with shelter. These are and then defense. These are the things that you're concerned with for all practical purposes and whatever it takes to do that. But once you have those things in steady demand and you aren't concerned with them on a daily basis, now is where you start moving up to your ego phase. And during your ego phase, you still have a nice connection to the root because you've just lived it. But you still don't have that much of a higher mind. You're more about going out and showing everybody how impressive you are that you lived through this root phase. Well, now then you move on up to your etheric phase or your spiritual phase, and this is where you start having philosophy. Now the problem is with at that point you lose connection to root, because most of your philosophers and people at that point, they haven't been out in the field doing the work for 30, 40 years. And so there's a disconnect. So now your philosophy isn't rooted, and you can turn around and you can literally say anything, because if it's not rooted in reality, then anything goes.
Yeah.
I can literally say killing babies is a good thing and make up a philosophy where that sounds good. And it's not until we root that and people start going, yeah, but I don't like it when you kill babies. That's really horrible. Well,
yeah, but the crops grow better every time we do it.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where we are now, isn't it? Is we're at the stage where there is no reason or logic anymore. It's follow my religion, or we'll do away with you or something. But yeah, I totally agree. It's a cyclical thing. It has to be. Most things in nature are cyclical.
Yep.
And there seems to be
an etheric end. I totally agree. We're at the etheric end. It's all ideas. Everybody has the answer, but can they actually do it? No.
Seems like there's a direct relationship between what you're talking about there and our monetary system as well. So as the further we go away from actual physical assets, actual real money, gold and silver, and then we're at this stage where there's literally nothing there.
Bits of plastic.
There's nothing.
And
there's nothing.
Ones and zeros.
Yeah, and that's ones and fucking zeros. So.
And that's that's how we create energy between us. It's the this is why Mercury has also been associated with this communication as well as trade and things like that, because it's that flow between people, of that flow of energy between people.
It's Mercury, the messenger, and Hermes. No, sorry.
Currency.
Current, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I've thought of this in that whole aspect of electrical salvation, I guess. Sin being the sine wave and the frequency change and that whole acceptance or whatever. I don't know how to say these things. It's too big of a topic, but I never thought about it alchemically with the salts.
If you want to hear that topic, this week I'm on Crow and we totally go through that.
Awesome.
The entire thing. And it's ridiculous. We only got halfway through. Crow flat out stops and says, listen, guys, this is all way above my head.
Right.
I need you guys to message. Yeah. He goes, you guys need to message and tell me whether you want us to even do the other half of this episode. Because he's like, I'm not sure if these guys have any idea what this guy's even saying.
Well, I'll tell you what, Benjamin.
On inviting you back, Benjamin. So
I was going to say,
dig deeper, sir. Please,
would you be happy to come back on in a more sort of sit around chewing the fat situation with Crow as well? You do know we've had Crow on here and actually came out as a flat earther on the show and had a beer and said he would stick around for an hour and ended up sticking here for 3 or 5 or so.
Right.
So you got the best out of it.
Yeah.
If we can make it a big meeting of the minds, it would be great to do that. Actually, John, that's brilliant, sir. I'm writing that down.
No, I just think it'd be great because I understand Crow has to. He has a persona that has to be quite rigid in terms of, I'm trying to get this information out here. I'm not pissing about. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but he rarely has the opportunity to shoot the breeze and actually sit down in relaxed situations amongst friends. And I think it would be awesome to get a bunch of you guys on here and just chill out and kick this crap around, because it really does. It could go anywhere for any amount of time either. And like Crow likes to say, those guys at Iron Realm, they know how to talk. What was it you said?
I know we used to have a little bumper we made with it, and who knows where they got buried.
Oh, those guys can talk. Yeah, would you be interested in that, Ben?
Absolutely, I would. You bet. And yeah, Lucas and I,
And needless, thank you. I was going to say
we're working
needless to
through
say,
some
we need
things.
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas and I are working through some things that it's just world changing. Like, we're seriously getting down to the nuts and bolts of old school occult and what they're talking about in a meaningful way. And I think that when him and I get done, and then Marty Leeds is also throwing in on this. You can't forget Marty, that the math magician, which is what checks all of it. So the three of us are kind of hitting it from three different angles, and we're really trying to get it to work. Because you know what? Old school occult, all it was about was living with nature. Right. It was about understanding that I should probably not try and ice skate up a hill, but maybe turn around and go down it. Like figuring out how to do things like that and understanding how to live with the world. And that's all we're talking about. And Lucas and I are extraordinarily committed to that and just giving that back to the world.
And I think getting you guys on a forum that is relaxed, it's not full of trolls, you're not on a agenda to get information out there and ticking boxes and that sort of thing. I think it works really well, and I think it's what we used to have a little old quaint thing in the UK called a pub, where people would wander down the street, whether you're a judge, a policeman, or a farm worker, and you'd have a pint of cider and chat amongst yourselves, and it made the world go round, because we're not going round, but it made the world move. You got to speak to these people. It later morphed into the smoking club, which was when you had a 54-story building, a high-rise building of a bank or whatever, and everyone was forced to go outside to smoke. And this was down from the the CEO down to the receptionist, and they would meet outside and they would talk and smoke and converse, and things would get done. I got nearly all my jobs from the pub by talking to people, and this is what they have killed now. We're doing it virtually, and I think we could sock it to them and get people like yourself and Crow and Lucas and Nkula, all these other people, these brains together to chat, and this is where things get made, and I think it's awesome. And I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to sign off, because it's knocking on for, well, late.
I knew this had
before you go, Savage.
Yeah, man.
I think what you were saying there rings true, even to this topic that we were talking about the suicide. That connection with other people is key.
Yeah.
Because it's people who end up feeling like they have no one, who end up feeling like they've disconnected from the rest of humanity. Even if they have 100 people around them, they don't feel like they belong. And it's those people that end up going and trying something like suicide and not realizing the people that they leave behind that felt that they had a connection with them, the pain that they end up are going through. Because I mean, 2 years back, I lost 3 of my friends to suicide, and 2 years back, I lost my uncle to suicide, and he didn't know. I don't know. I don't know what he knew, but the people he left behind, his son in particular, who I spent New Year's with, he's definitely struggling through it to make sense, because we don't even know why he did it. Never wrote anything. He never cleared it up. Everybody's just like wondering why he did it, and he left 11 kids behind, who all now don't have a father.
Oh, wow.
And it's
Damn,
from
man.
somebody else who's, I mean, Walter knows the story, and from somebody else who's tried suicide. I mean, I jumped off a pier in the water, and like, and I remember he asked me after like I came out of hospital that like, did I see the afterlife? What did I see? I didn't see anything at all. It was just dark. Maybe if I was like dying in a normal way or something, maybe I would have seen something, but maybe because I was taking things into my own hands, and that's why I didn't get to see anything. I mean, I was helped by a bunch of surfers who saw me jump
Yeah.
and pulled me out of the water, and I had to go to hospital for that in case they said secondary drowning or something from the water. But
Damn, mate.
at that particular point, I did not feel connected to anyone, even though I had a lot of people that loved me and
around
missed
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes when I call you guys and I say, and I genuinely mean this, that I'm glad that you guys are around on Friday and you're talking, because if I listen to you guys, I always feel 100% better afterwards.
Mate.
That you guys being around, and it makes a difference.
Cool,
Because
cool.
I have all these thoughts in my head and things that I'm trying to work out, and sometimes I don't have anybody to bounce it around off of, like things like 2 suns in the sky, the sun that you can't see. I mean, who the fuck am I going to ask that about? They won't know what the hell I'm talking about, and sometimes you just feel stuck and you're just trying to work something out.
Is it a refuge? You were sort of designed that way as well, to be that port in the storm for the people that have nowhere to go with all this information, all these feelings and thoughts that they've been having to try to deal with. Because it is those 5 stages of grief you got to go through when you come to a lot of this information. And you're sad, you're angry, you're lonely. There's a lot of things going on in there, and having a place to have other people talking about those things, and inviting you in, welcoming you with open arms to talk about whatever crazy stuff you have on your mind, just to get it out there and see what sticks, see what happens. But just being able to have that tribe, having those peers, a jury of actual peers, not just people in the same citizenship as you, but actual peers, is an amazing thing. So I'm glad we could be that for you, Nkululeko. I think that's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I'd like to extend a massive virtual bear hug to you, mate, because I know exactly what you're saying, and they're in the process of killing community. You could be surrounded by 100 people and be the loneliest person on earth, and I would also like to say thanks to you for guiding tonight's show. You actually put down the topics that we were talking about, and I saw Liz saying thank you as well in chat. Yeah, I do watch chat now. But yeah, much appreciated, mate, and anytime you need to reach out, we're here. I think the only reason any of us are sane is because of all of us.
Yeah,
This is
indeed.
part of why you start feeling that disconnect is because you're changing. And so the people that you used to connect to, who you were on the same vibration as, you're not anymore. And this is part of why they've done such a huge separation. They knew that a bunch of us, they were going to do such nasty things that it was going to make a bunch of us question things. And if you don't have somebody else around to connect to kind of help you in that flow, you're just going to end up shucking it off because it's too uncomfortable and you're a isolated, ship in the sea. Nobody wants that. This is the same reason that it's 6 feet. It's the same reason that your family's been buried 6 feet deep. Like there's a true vibration that comes between your salts that you can feel, and that is exchanging information on a visceral level that you don't even understand. It's not something you're thinking about, and they've decided to cut all that off so that way every single one of us that stands up, because this is something that was very interesting. My wife, her oldest son is like, cash or a bag boy or something at some grocery store. And because he's a big kid, they've made him the COVID bouncer. And because of this, a lot of people apparently are going up and actually fighting with this kid more than I ever would have guessed, because like when I go up and me and my guys go in and end up pushing these, stores around and doing, trying to make things right, we assume like we're islands in a storm. But that's not the fact. According to this kid, that's his job to sit there and do that. Apparently, it's a fairly regular thing. Some guy, he told some lady to put on a mask, and some dude, now granted, I hope he's not a truther, but comes back with brass knuckles, ready to fight with him. Right. So people are not taking this as well as what they pretend it's happening. Like, oh, everybody except for you is doing it. But they've made it so we can't bond with each other and can't touch each other. And the fact is like when you're talking about that story, which I'm so glad that you lived through that. I'm so glad you're here. And I promise that your entire family and your forefathers and the people who truly understand this world better, they want you here and they could communicate with you and let you know that how very important your life is to them. And that would happen if you actually could get in touch with their salts and they didn't make this disconnect where they bury it 6 feet deep, put it in cement, make it so those salts are never released back to the earth again. It's stopping reincarnation. Think about that. If the natural cycle, say it takes 50 years for your bones to turn to dust and your salts to be released so that way you can come back to this plane and all your memories are accessible again. What happens when you take that and you lock it in a casket that isn't going to deteriorate for 1,000 years? You put it in a cement area, you pour cement over it. You make sure that none of your ancestors ever come back. You've lost all communication. And now we truly are islands in the storm, where before we would have been born with information that our families just passed along. Like, hey, I know how to live here. This is no different than the rats that they train, and the next generations of rats knows what's going on. Epigenetic memory is carried through your salt.
You just broke my brain again for probably the 20th time on the show. I live in Louisiana where we are not able to bury the dead in the ground due to the water table here. Everybody is buried in crypts above ground. That's why this fucking place is so spooky, man. Everything's above ground. It doesn't have that layer of ground to keep. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you yet again for another breaker.
Now,
Real quick, Nuka,
on that.
I want to let you know, friend, look, you started out hanging out with us years ago, and I know all the shit you've gone through, man. And truly, it is tough when the people around you that love you, they truly love you, are clueless. I mean, I dealt with it in Oregon while my mom was passing with my brother and my sister, who, were raised exactly as I was with that same lady, and yet have lost it completely. And it saddens me now even. So I know where you're coming from, friend, and I love you, and I'm glad that we're here, and I'm glad we're your friends.
Definitely. And I know you're trying to get out of here because it's late there where you are, probably pushing 3:30, before 3:30ish, I guess. So don't let us keep you up, keep you awake, but know that you are loved, and we're just as glad you're still here as everyone else in your life, because you definitely add a facet to who we are as IRM, and a show and just a collective of people. So thank you for being a part of it and for still being here and being able to continue to add all the beautiful things that you do.
Truly. Love you, friend.
And John, I know it's getting late for you too, and you're pushing on soon. But I had somebody here that I thought might want to say hi. Hack, you there?
No, really?
He should be. Although I'm not hearing him for some reason.
It is knocking on, and Hack only turns up minutes
he only
before
turns
I
up
go.
right.
As would
For-
always be the case.
As we
But
get his audio worked out for Benjamin, and Lucas may know Benjamin, Hacksaw has been a friend of the show since like before it was a show. We've known Hacksaw since when we all kind of found each other on Twitter going, what? Spinny Space Bear, what's that? So yeah, this is like a definite family reunion. If we can get it worked out, damn it, I hope we can get him in here.
well, he was on I think it was the 3rd or the 4th of January last year. So that was what I was listening to last night, and it was blast from the past for me, and it was really cool.
Was there any good things there, John?
Yay! Hack, man, how you doing? There was all sorts of good things there, man. How have you been? I have not heard from you for a year. I'm sure Josh has.
No,
No, it's been about a year, yeah.
no.
You're a bit recluse, mate.
Oh, it's not reclusive. I've got work to do. I'm busy.
Good man. Good man.
Dude's doing
Yeah,
a great
but
work.
I know
What's
I
up,
wanted
Hacksaw?
to reconnect. I'm glad Josh called me, and I was glad because it was on my heart. Like you were saying, something about this time of year, maybe anniversary or something.
It
So,
was. Yeah, go back a year, and you were on the show. Yeah.
I remember.
So what you been doing all year?
Friends, we've been friends before we were an internet thing. So I
Yep.
I
I was
hear
just
you.
introducing you to Benjamin Balderson here, that you were a friend before we were even a team. We were just hanging out and getting to know each other. So definitely.
Which
been
is so
listening.
cool.
Whoever was just talking is exactly right on. Once the reincarnation thing gets worked out, you'll know everything. You're right on with everything. They're trying to isolate us for all the reasons. And it's as much a Chinese communist attack against American men as it is a devil's attack against the Empire of Heaven. It's happening all right now in the same place. It's kind of strange. They want us isolated. They want our spirits isolated. They want our bodies isolated. Don't forget, herd immunity comes from contact with people, even sick people. So they're trying to make it sure that we don't have any connection. We don't have any strength. We don't have any support. There's nothing worse you could do to a human than isolate them.
You're right, and we're even though I'm incredibly antisocial, I still need
Yeah.
to be social.
Yeah. I'm a hermit, but I still need people, without a doubt. And there's no reason, there isn't anything else going on Earth besides humans. That's it. It's about us, it's about you, it's about me, it's about we. We're doing it. And if you isolate us from each other, I'm here to call an end to it, if you really want to know.
Well, yeah, they know that how bad it is. I mean, there's rules against how long they can isolate people in prison. They know exactly what isolation does to people.
The first step is to realize, A, there's no scientific basis for it. All immunology says the opposite, like take the mask off and go outside and talk to people. And secondly, this is just an attack on the Western world. There are no complaints about African. If you look about Africa, they're just running wild. They don't even care. Every community that's in the Eastern world and Muslim, China, whatever it is, they don't even care about it. This is an attack on the Western world, trying to make the two sides of the globe one. And I have to tell you that the Western world is the one slated to lose.
Bingo. Yep. Totally.
Entirely. I mean, it sucks as a white man in America, the way that it falls out.
I
for me
mean,
to stand here and talk like this, because I'm not talking to American white men. I'm talking to everybody, every freeborn, loving person, especially anyone who wants that. They're just giving. They're taking by your permission. You're giving up your power. You think it's good and right because you don't understand science and health. And so you do what the TV tells you. The TV is owned by China. It hates you. Stop doing what it tells you. The mask is not doing anything for anyone besides making you more likely to die of the disease once you get it.
But
It's a horrible incarnation. It makes everyone look like they're trying to be a Muslim terrorist or a Chinese person who's afraid of air. And here we are in America wearing masks to make them feel comfortable in their new homeland.
but
If you see them walking around, they're just looking at it like, oh, look at all the new stuff we own. This is our new country.
this is
We're
where
moving
I think we go back,
And
Hack. This
everyone in England, John, and everyone in Canada, and everybody else is looking at me, the last one, hoping that I don't give way. Because if I give way, we're all lost.
Well, this is where it comes back to exactly what we were talking about a year ago, which is you've got to take this back to the basics and say, does a virus even exist? Have you
Does it even
separated it?
I
Have
had
you
to ask you about
purified it? And the answer is no.
So,
What's
the
your,
virus does exist.
like I said, what's your take on this, Hack? I've been curious as to how you've watched this whole thing play out with
Yeah.
terrain theory
No, you don't need-
versus germ theory.
With what?
Terrain theory
Germ theory?
versus germ theory, right?
I'm horribly curious about this because this is such an interesting subject that is not at all decided on either side.
Yeah. No. I was going to make a video. The Lord just put it on my heart with all the facts, line them up, and I didn't get to it because it was before COVID. I didn't feel the pressure. And now that COVID's happened, I feel like I'm coming up behind and it's just sort of like, I'll sound like I'm just sort of naysayer. But there's indisputable facts in medicine, okay? Like indisputable facts. Number one, the moment you get an antibody to a thing, that thing is gone. You're impervious to it for life. If the immunization gives you the antibody, you're not getting the disease ever again. There is no asymptomatic carrier. If you get the thing, if you're contagious, if you have symptoms, you're contagious. If you don't have symptoms, you're not contagious. The only only thing you need to do is get a forehead thermometer and stand at the door of your establishment, and everybody, they can be 6 feet apart, standing in the line with their mask on, and when they get to the door, you shoot their forehead, and it says 98.6, they take off their mask and go inside and act normal. And if it doesn't, if it's higher, you just send them on their way back home. And they go back home to a room where they can take their mask off and live in a home. And then everybody who is in there goes with a mask on to their room and they can leave the house with no mask on. The only people wearing masks should be sick people. When we get the immunization, if they gave us immunity, we wouldn't have to get two. We wouldn't have to say, oh, you might get sick again. That's not immunized. When you get herd immunity, you are immunized. You're not going to get sick again. And you get herd immunity the same way that you get the virus. They used to send these online, just brainwashing constantly. Listen, if there's commercials telling you it's real, it's probably not real. They would say if you sneeze COVID on the dash of your car and in the sun and the UV rays hit it, new science has discovered the virus can't live in UV rays. I'm sorry to tell you, but we knew that in 1902. There aren't living organisms in your body that live outside your body. If you sneeze them on the door handle, they're dead in 0.5 seconds. They don't live in that body. They live out there. Your antibodies, they're bigger than viruses, and they actually travel the same way. You have to breathe them in to transfer them. You get antibodies from people who have gotten the disease and beaten it, and then you're in their presence, and they breathe their antibodies on you the same way they would breathe the virus. And then you get immunity without having gotten sick. What they're doing now is making sure that everybody is going to get sick because there's no herd immunity. They're isolating us.
Not to mention that a virus is inorganic. It's not living. It's a lump of something. It's not a living thing, which they love to tell you that we're fighting this thing and we're launching attacks and it's changed its tactics and all this bullshit, when it's actually just a lump of shit, effectively.
If you knew science and then therefore did not believe in the religion of evolution, you would laugh wholeheartedly at this evolution of viruses concept. Do you know that we can't isolate a virus? This
indeed.
disease has been going on since
Yeah.
this disease has been going on since the late 2018.
Well,
Okay.
three
We
governments.
talked about it in biology
Three-
in college. I was a biology major, and we discussed it quite often.
Three governments have had to reply to Freedom of Information requests: the US government, the UK government, and the Irish government, and all three have admitted that they have no evidence that a virus exists. I mean, viruses, as far as I can see, may as well be exosomes.
You're right. You're exactly right. It's a man-made thing. And I would have made a video that explained that. It's not very difficult to understand. But they did a nanobot before we knew what nanobots were. And that's your virus, your basic cold and flu virus. Nothing was put here that makes us sick that we can't defend off. I mean, there's some snakes and some other stuff, but generally speaking, you're impervious to everything here. So if the virus is clearing people out, it's got to be a man-made thing. It's hard to really get your mind around it, but your body will find that virus. There's some DNA in the virus is what they do. It's like a retrovirus. It goes in, it works in the way they're talking about now is an RNA virus where there's some sort of hijack process where your body begins to make the virus because that's what it does. It's just like cancer. Actually, if you study
Well,
cancer,
I still remember the first time we drew diagrams of a virus in biology, and it was a
the
fucking
virocapsid. It looks like a little
freaking robot. It's a
something with
freaking
legs.
little robot. It's not a organic thing. I mean,
Yeah, it looks like a robot.
Well, so here's the thing. So everybody's touting right now in the truth community. The thing that's getting touted heavily is your terrain theory. Now, terrain theory's got some real interesting points. So terrain theory is with the exosomes, where your body is taking in toxins and poisons from the outside, and then what's making you feel sick is your body's actual getting rid of these things. Now that does hold a lot of interest, and I can absolutely see where that applies in a lot of situations, like in the fall or in the spring,
like
when
98% there, but you missed the big thing. It's in the shots.
Well, the problem here is the problem, and I do get what you're saying with that, which I don't disagree that the government's doing some shady crap and that they're intending on making us sick. I don't disagree with that. I'm just talking about the basic science of the virus here right now. Now, terrain theory has a lot of interesting points to it.
The immune theory of disease.
Right.
The overreaction of the immune system is what gives you your symptoms.
And according to terrain theory, also it's while basically your body's disposing of it, you start feeling the effects of it as you're disposing of it. Now the problem with this is I don't have herpes simplex 2, and I'll never in my life have herpes simplex 2 unless I go and because I don't break out all in my genitals. But if I go have sex with somebody that has herpes simplex 2, now I'm going to start having those kind of things in my genitals. And nothing about living environment or anything like that made that happen. Only thing that made that happen was contact between two humans and their mucous membranes exchanging something.
But
now,
could that
know what that is?
Could that not be like bacteria rather than
it
a
very
virus?
Well could.
Yeah.
I didn't. Right, and I'm not at all stating. As far as I'm concerned, it could easily be an electrical malfunction
or fungus.
Like basically like having when you have a bad battery with another bad battery, it'll make that next bad battery go bad. Or go bad. So it could be something like that too. I'm not stating what it is.
One bad apple.
Right. All I'm stating is the empirical fact is that I will never start breaking out my genitals with herpes simplex 2 unless I go have sex with somebody that has it. So that means that person to person, there is some kind of transmission of something.
Yeah, I don't
So
deny that. Yeah, absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
It-
no,
it-
John, I would tell you originally in the beginning of this, like COVID doesn't exist, just strategically. I would have said that. But my video that I would have made like 2 years ago would have been telling you that viruses, the cold thing and herpes, all that shit is mostly man-made.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
You don't get it twice. So they get these people all convinced, like the second and third time, the fourth time they have a herpes breakout, that it's the same retrovirus, but it's a new transmission of the new thing they put out. So they work you both ways, whether or not it's the new virus or your immune system just gives up. Remember, the only thing they want you to do is take a shot.
It's plausible deniability. If there's a plausible sort of reason for this happening or this happening, you know, like people saying no one gets flu anymore. Oh, it's because you're wearing a mask. It's plausible deniability. They've got every base covered on that front for weak-minded individuals that believe this shit.
They do. The people, it's the TV. You got to turn the TV off. Is all. I have to call an end to the mass in the fear, especially in the Western world. We're giving up our way of life willingly out of fear of a thing we're being told is killing everybody, but no one's really seeing it. And we need to go back to work. We need to not. The CDC is not in charge of anybody. Their recommendations aren't even cemented. They're just kind of like, you should maybe be 6 feet away from people and maybe wear a mask. They're not laws of any kind. They don't have any authority. They're a political organization. This is a political attack. Even if it's a real virus, it was made in China, where guess what? There's not a problem anymore. But where's the problem? In American towns where all these Chinese planes land.
But that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem,
Santa
Hack.
Clara County, California, where the Niners play, where San Jose is, where Palo Alto is, where Google is, where YouTube is. The Sharks, all they do is take in Chinese flights, and this is literally the first and foremost lockdown center, and it's gotten zero control, and the numbers are basically all fucking made up. You know, the beginning of this, you were seeing ER doctors get thrown off of roofs because they would not go on TV and say there was an epidemic because they had literally empty ERs, which is the case today, still to the day. All the numbers you see in the news are trumped up, these ICU beds being at 11%.
You mean all those dancing nurses and choreography stuff are all like, what is that? That's showing us that. I'm just being stupid, man. It's ridiculous.
So I live right on the 101 in California, and I do business in all of these areas. And I have yet to see any of this since I moved, because I moved from Redding, which is more like 150 miles that way, but it takes 6 hours because we're in the mountains. In a 150-mile period in Redding, nobody wears masks. The only place that even bothers you are places like Trader Joe's, where it's definitely going to be like a bunch of very middle class, very uppity people. Other than that, no other places. Right. But you get over here, even though I'm not seeing any of these effects, and there's still like sessions going on and things like that, where like
they're all
people
scared.
Right. But people will get together and go to like marijuana sessions where there's like 1,000 people sitting in a room, and they are definitely coughing and passing, whatever. And nobody cares. And it doesn't cause any kind of problems. And I was living in Redding, and it was supposed to be one of the giant hotspots for COVID. They set up 3 giant tents, these giant red tents at the hospital in Redding. And they were going to receive all the extra COVID people. Them tents were never used.
But Benjamin, I've been saying this from the beginning. If this thing was real, then the first thing they would stop is postal service. I mean, how many hands does your post go through before it gets to you? It's gone through numerous hands and everything. It's all gibberish because they haven't stopped the postal service. In fact, Bezos, or whatever his name is, has become a multi-trillionaire. And There you go. I mean, it's not about your health. It's clearly about control. Always has been. We all know that.
We're getting Jim Jones. We're getting Jim Jones.
Absolutely.
Like everything is so arbitrary and nonsensical that they're getting you used to you just doing anything. Just no matter what it is or how fucking stupid it is, you
That's
just
it.
do it.
That's
You
it.
just keep drinking the Kool-Aid until it's time for the
Drinking
poison
it.
Kool-Aid.
Folks are lining up to stick their arm in the jar so they can stir it. Man, what are you saying?
But I mean, that's it. I mean, you lock everyone down, but you let the children go to school. You lock everyone down, but you let the children go to school. You know, and they're. I mean, it's.
Did you realize that the state of Florida has not shut down at all? The state of Florida is as big as California. The only difference is they don't have any Chinese flying into.
Yeah, that's what Jonathan was telling us on the show a few
And
times.
our rates are all higher.
in
Dude, I'm
Florida.
telling you, everywhere I go, some woman is screaming, put on a mask, get 6 feet away, all this shit. Our rates are through the roof. Florida hasn't shut down once. They got lower rates than we do. It's all about television. And it's sad and it's sick too, but it's the immigrants and the black people who watch TV who are poor who fall for the television. And that's what the Democrats did. They got all these immigrants voting rights and then put on like Spanish television, just like, hey, you know, you're all going to die from COVID. Vote against Donald Trump. All the white people hate you. Take their country away from them.
But this
And
is
they're
great, and this is.
I mean, the Feinstein and Pelosi have stabbed us in the back. They're trying to give our country to China, and they think they're going to come out on top.
This is
If
the
you go to
great
San
thing about what we're still allowed to do
These
on
Democrat cities are
the
shit.
internet.
If you own a business in the Western world, buy a forehead thermometer. If it reads 98.6, they get to come in and behave normally, and there is not anyone who can sue you for anything. You'll stand there before all the CDC, WHO, the president, everyone in the world, and go 98.6, no symptoms, not contagious, nobody got sick, and you'll never be in trouble. You need to get your people back to work. Go back, unless you're a commie. Unless you want freedom to die, you want your babies to be dashed in pieces before your eyes, you better go back to work. It's all gone. You're giving up everything. We're debating about what a virus is or what this is. You need to go back to work and get back to life. These people are making you give up everything. You're going to live in a hole with darkness and starvation for no reason.
Love
Just
your hat.
fear what the TV told you.
You're on target.
That's all I wanted to say. You know,
It's so true,
I
though.
can't handle this anymore. You don't need to wear a mask if you don't have symptoms. If your temperature is 98.6, you cannot be contagious. Take the mask off. Go to business. Conduct business. You do not need an immunization to conduct business in the Western world.
No, but now you
Do not
have
take
a
the shot.
virus. You have
You
a.
know what I had to put on to go in my mom's room when she had C. diff? I had to glove up, wash for 20 minutes. I had to put on plastic shit over my hair. I had to put on a shield
And
over
when
my
you left the room?
face and a mask. Dude, it was like I was going into like the the outbreak monkeys room or
And
something.
then-
it was like, oh my God.
and then when
And
you
that was for me not to give her shit. It had nothing to do with what she had. That was so I wouldn't make her sicker. But people are all like, oh, I'm safe because I got a mask on.
Yeah. I mean, airborne precautions are well known in the hospital. Like we go into that room, we put a mask on, and then we leave it at the door. We leave the mask inside the door. We put the mask on once we get in the room. We put it on because once we get within 6 feet, you got to have a mask on, and that's fair. If they cough or sneeze on you, that mask might do something. But if you continue to wear that mask when you walk outside, there isn't a surface on Earth better suited to harbor growth of viruses than the mask on your mouth. It's got to be hot. It's got to be wet. And if you're walking around and it might have a chance to be breathed in, that's your best chance. You got to take that mask off your stupid face. You can't be breathing your own waste all day long and thinking you're going to be thinking clearly. It can't.
Oh, I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Oh,
So what's going on is
Go do a
your
red
bu-
light and the internal combustion engine. We'll start with that. The same concept.
right.
Breathing in
What,
waste.
so what oxygen is doing, and part of why carbon monoxide is so harmful is oxygen is working as a vehicle to take the carbon out of your body and get rid of it. So this is why, like when you light any basic fire, a fire just gets the molecules moving faster. It's freeing up the carbon, And what stops that process is you'll see the carbon, it'll build up into a super black little cloud until you get sufficient heat to draw in oxygen to vehicle that away. Now, part of the reason carbon monoxide is so horribly dangerous is it has adverse effects on potassium, but then B, if the oxygen's going in order to vehicle the carbon out, well, if you bring in carbon monoxide, it's actually attaching to another oxygen inside you and stopping that process. So you're literally smothering yourself with carbon. Even so, something so basic as taking glucose, which people think that we live off glucose, but we don't. We live off of ATP. Just like with cannabis, the THC molecule needs to be oxycarbonated. The glucose needs to be oxycarbonated in order for it, which means it's dropping the carbon molecule. And now it goes from being glucose to ATP, which your body uses.
You're close.
Bam, that's like free energy. So it's always getting rid of that carbon molecule. That's what oxygen is doing for you.
Well, you know, there's lots of strange facts about the body. One is we don't live off of oxygen in the slightest, hardly. That's why when we've changed CPR so that you don't give rescue breaths, you just pump the blood, because the blood already has plenty of oxygen in it. So does your brain, so does your muscles. That's not the problem. It's the flow. So we just got to get the flow going. Oxygen, to burn something, you're right, to oxidize something, oxygen is very useful in that regard, except for sugar, we only live off of sugar. Oxygen, burning it with oxygen is an expensive but also efficient, or it produces a lot of energy. But we also burn it non-oxidatively. We have this pyruvic acid lactate shuttle where we take the waste and we burn that. So we have we take our own exhaust and burn it again before we end up with lactic acid or breathing off this stuff. We have baroreceptors, chemoreceptors in our neck, in our carotids, which don't sense for oxygen. There's nothing in the body that senses for oxygen. It only senses for CO2, which is your body's waste. And the second that rises, you get stimulated to inspire, but only to transfer the carbon dioxide to the air so you can expire and breathe it out. You breathe according to waste. Once you start building up waste, you'll get the impetus to breathe deeply. There's no oxygen receptors like that. It's only for carbon dioxide. And the carbon monoxide has a stronger affinity to bond on the hemoglobin than oxygen or carbon dioxide. So they're giving us engines. They literally designed your car to put off a gas that will smother you as fast as possible. That's why people kill themselves all the time. There's plenty of ways to come up with an engine that doesn't do that. They love us sitting in poisonous gases that mess with our breathing. They love us not understanding our breathing. They love us sitting there at red light with a mask on, breathing not only our own waste, which is making us, you got to remember, just within a stoplight, you're going to show up to work stupid, sick-headed, because you're breathing non-mental working gases that you're stopping yourself. So if you're wearing a mask and you're trying to do your job, you're not only going to make errors, you're going to get headaches. I mean, there are no one should be wearing a mask for any reason, any time that's so bad for you. There are other ways to do it. It's a difficulty in the hospital, but those are people, with actual sick people working bedside care. In the world, man, you're just poisoning the shit out of all these people. They're going to get confused. They're going to be irritable. Their mind's not working right. They have burning in their lungs and their face. Their glasses are fogging up. It's literally just to terrorize Western society. That's all it is. And you're right. It's poison. When you breathe your waste, it's not your air. It's poison. You're replacing what you should be breathing. And these people, when they say, there should be so many people not on the mask list, just to begin with. There should be so few masks at all. They should only be on people who are sick. If you see a person with a mask on in public, you should be like, dude, go home. Go home. You're sick. Go home. You're contagious. You have symptoms. Why are you out? Go home. You have a mask. You shouldn't be out at all. You shouldn't see anyone with a mask on, because that should be a sick person. And if you are wearing a mask because someone at home is sick, well, you should isolate them. Put them in a room. Enter that room with a mask and leave the mask in there like the nurses do. When the nurses have a contagious patient, they don't walk around all day with a mask on their face. They only wear the mask when they're within 6 feet of the patient.
And you
Then
have
they take it off and they leave it in the room.
very strict PPE protocols with patients in isolation. Nobody's
it's
coming in and
extremely
out without a
strict, and that's-
gown and gloves and masks and face. I mean, it's a whole ordeal just to go in and drop off a plate of food or to check eyes, nose.
And don't
It's
forget-
nothing.
Like that MRSA, we created MRSA because when you use Clorox, it says 99.9% that it kills. Well, that extra 1% is the staff that we don't have anything to kill it for. And when you clear out everything else, it just blossoms and takes the whole space. That's where you get a staph infection. We don't have anything to kill it. We know antibacterial anything obviously isn't going to cure a virus. Bacteria aren't pathogens until you put them in your eye or scare you wrong, you get cut. So this whole thing where they've gotten, it's just an economy. And don't forget, like, I don't mean to insult anyone or make anyone feel bad, but RNs, you shouldn't trust them when it comes to this kind of virus stuff because they aren't actually taught science. They don't read it, they don't write it, they don't interpret it, they don't translate it. It's a hands-on job, and they almost end up doing what the TV says. And nurses walking around with antibacterial gel, they put it in their purses, they get their kids on it. Everyone, all their girlfriends, like, oh, if the nurse does it, it must be good. It's in the medical community, we know that it's stupid and wrong, but it was caught just a second too late before it caught on like wildfire. In hospitals, they started using the alcohol and stuff as opposed to washing your hands because it seems more convenient. But then it was like, this is stupid. It's not working at all. It doesn't do anything. Why are we doing it? And then all of a sudden, boom, it was a consumer thing. You go on Target, hand wipes and all this stuff, and they just made billions of dollars on this during COVID, and it's useless. Not only that, but we know that it's wrong. If you overprescribe antibiotics, you're just giving you're prescribing them to die by a bacteria because you're eventually going to end up with what they can't beat. The whole thing's bad, and we know it, and it is run by people watching TV and like basically, home people that are going on layman's identity, and there's no one like me standing up. And I feel bad because I haven't been, but I've also been on the run and et cetera, which is what they've been doing to make sure that the words don't get out. This whole thing needs to come to an immediate fucking end. An immediate fucking end. I never talk like that. This is we're killing ourselves. We're like we're just leaving our doors open and unlocked. It's like, oh yeah, just hop our border and come eat my food because I feel bad that I'm a colonizer. Give me your diseases. We'll just all shut down. We're literally being overrun, the whole Western society. And I don't know. It's a war. When Donald Trump gets elected here in the next couple of weeks, we're talking worldwide bloodshed, son. And this whole thing with us being isolated and everything else is part of the plan to make that more effective. Because they're coming to make one world, new world order, one religion, $1. And I got to promise you, it's not going to be the United States petrodollar. It's going to be the Chinese yuan, the gold-backed Chinese yuan and cryptocurrency. They have plans for us in America and the Western world, and it's not to continue. They won't allow us to do our business. They won't let us do our own thing. They want the whole globe, as they say.
So you think Trump's going to save that? You understand?
Two testicles on the
that
anvil,
Trump-
son. Trump will be president January 21st.
Trump, whether he's president or not, he kissed the weeping wall. He put his hand on the glowing ball and pledged his allegiance to other people. He's not no savior.
Oh, they are. Yeah, of course not. But he is the only one that's responding to Americans telling him he better fucking act appropriately.
Yeah, but is he?
So you don't so what's going on right now is Trump was the test waters, and all they're doing is setting it up for ultra conservatism, and they've got to make it fail before they can do that, because we've got to let them do that, and the only way we let them do that is when we're in crazy and emotional and have nothing. And they're setting up all of that. I agree 100% that this is the government's doing, but the idea that, for starts, you've got to convince me that anybody but the Jews has ran anything. I don't know anything about China running anything. China in and of itself, China's a giant country that's not unified in any way and never has been. That's why China hasn't conquered the world 100 times over. They've got the manpower.
reason
They
haven't
don't
got
do
their-
it because
their
they
fucking
fight each other constantly. The only reason that we believe that China is a unified front is because that's what our news projects. But our news projects the Chinese news that we want. There's multiple factions and so much territory in China. China's a ginormous country that they can't control it and never have. China has always been an interwarring country, which is why they've never really entered the main stage of the rest of the world. Remember when Japan beat up China for a bit? I mean, come on.
Well, come
They
on.
didn't really
Japanese
beat up
are
China. They
really
beat up a tiny little area of China, and then we acted like it's China.
I don't underestimate China.
I don't underestimate China. If China somehow magically became unified and all these extreme warring factions that wore nothing like what we wore, it's not people going bad Democrat, bad.
They have televisions.
One little
TV.
Is this the Chinese people on the border?
Propaganda is the Chinese government.
Like I live in China. I live in California. There's not Chinese people running all over. Let's start out with that America, until American people give up their guns, nobody will ever forcibly invade this country. Nobody. Because every farm boy with a 30-06 is going to take out a platoon of soldiers.
Communists into our government. You had to elect communists. You had to take us by propaganda.
Did they take our guns?
Communists are the kings of propaganda because
did they take
no
our
one
guns?
rightfully fucking accept it.
Until they take our guns, nobody is forcefully doing anything in this country. They have got to get us to accept it every time.
Why do you think they want to take our guns?
Oh, they keep telling us they're gonna. And gun sales, every year that's happened, gun sales have rocketed. Now what? Do you think that they're going to start marching door to door and doing it? Do you think they have the manpower to ever do that? Every country boy with a 30-06 is worth a platoon of soldiers on his own land. Everyone.
We saw that in Iraq. We couldn't even take Baghdad.
Yeah, you cannot march across American land with nothing.
Hey, they can if they prep you for 30 years with Chinese propaganda.
Are you ready to give up your guns? I don't know a single guy in the country or in the mountains that will. If Chinese start marching across the land, I know what's going to happen.
If you ask everyone here what the Second Amendment is actually about, I'm the only one that's going to give you a right answer. No one knows why we have guns. They think it's a bad thing, good thing, whatever it is. Oh, it's just like American freedom, we'll shoot at stuff. They don't understand that it's about the only free people on earth.
I think most of us are aware of that. That without those guns, in fact, I think just like before, I just got done saying that as long as we have guns, we will always be free people. Just like before when I explained how carbon buildup was the problem, and then you said I'm wrong, and then explained how carbon buildup is the problem. As long as we have guns.
Except that you know, our body takes care of the carbon. The gun thing is, they want to take our guns, and they're coming for them because if you're right, but except it's not only just every individual person, because the Second Amendment did not give every individual person a right to bear arms entirely. There needs to be a well-organized state militia, which is all about being a self-governing American in the state, like California, who might fight against the United States federal government. It's about states' rights. It's about you being a free person. The federal government is the only entity against your freedom. We wrote it in the Constitution that it has no power, has no authority, it's not supposed to be this big. This is why, like, you have these people that every time there's a vote that comes up, just say, vote no. We're already here. Everything's working. We have all the laws. Stop making more laws and more taxes and more provisions and more regulations. We're already working because we're already here. And the ones who are making new laws and new regulations are trying to drive us towards communism from the beginning, dude. From the beginning. We've been fighting this battle. But right now, they figured something out with this COVID virus and everything else. This attack is working very well. We're losing.
I'd just like to butt in here and just how many Chinese, how many of the congressmen have a dual citizenship with China?
Bingo.
Did you hear about Eric Swalwell?
Because how many have a dual citizenship with Israel?
Dude, the Jews thing is going to get you shot, first of all, because it's wrong.
Well, that's so weird, because that would get me shot because I can't speak against the masters, Voltaire.
Well, because it's actually not the Jews that will shoot you. It's the people pretending to be the Jews that have convinced you that they are the Jews. They're called Zionists.
It's 5G chess, Benjamin.
They've been doing this from the beginning, and it's the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. We've known this. They're using the Jews as a ploy, as they always have. They hide and pretend to be Jewish. They give their names.
So I'm not a goyim according to the Torah? So I'm not a goyim and here to serve them and nothing better than a cattle? And have you ever seen what I've seen what people do to cattle? It's ugly.
You said what?
And
what about the Torah?
I'm not a goyim. They are God's chosen people. I am not. I am not somebody that was born of that clan. I am not of the people of Seth. I am a Norse. I am a Germanic. I am not of the clan of Seth, so I am not a God's chosen person. I am not a Hebrew.
God's chosen people? Have you not realized that God forsook those people?
I don't recognize their God particularly at all. I'm a heathen. Did you not catch that?
Yeah, he rejected them for their sins because they rejected him. The Jews are not in power, son. Not at all. But because of the words of the book that can't be broken.
How many? Is it illegal? Is it illegal to ban?
To be Jews.
Is it illegal to ban to stop export or not do business with China in any state in the United States? It is to not do it with Israel. Is it illegal to talk about? I can't remember any of the Chinese massacres. It is illegal to say World War II is not the story that they fed us. That is illegal. Why is it that everything around the Jews are protected by every law?
I'll tell you,
all kinds of our senators have dual citizenship with Israel.
You're right. It's called, they created a protected class in order to hide behind it. The Muslims right now are hiding behind Black America, just like the Jesuits are hiding behind Jews.
You mean the Muslims that don't at all engage in usury, which the Jews completely own? In fact, Muslims will prepay their utility bills. Why are they demonized in this country where we entirely live off usury? How many people are debt free? I am. But how many people I'm in a major city. I'm probably the only person in a 20-mile radius debt-free. Usury.
No, usury's against the law. If you're paying interest, it's your own fucking fault. You can sue everyone who's ever.
And who owns all the usury? Who owns every bit of it?
Catholic Church Jesuits.
Are you serious, man? Are you serious? Every billionaire on the planet is a Jew. If he's not an Arab, if he's not an oil-toting Arab, he's a Jew who's gotten all of his money off of theft from other people, because usury is illegal, but they still do it, which is why they hate the Arabs, why they hate them so bad, because they will not accept usury.
No,
it's all the same God. It's all Abrahamic nonsense. Abraham was a douche. He was a desert god out of this tiny little area in Africa.
The land of Ur, the Canaanites.
Not my land.
Canaanites.
Not my land.
It was Cain.
Why do I care about their God? I don't care about their God or any of the gods in between.
Fishes had red hair, and that's where we get the colloquialism called the redheaded stepchild, because the Jewish women who had sex with the Canaanitish men who were half giants, who they were attracted to because they had members like horses, would have the redheaded stepchilds, and they would throw them in the fire in the Valley of the Sons of Hinnom.
Yes, the Jews who have
Jesus
always
called
been
them
so beat up, so beat up. You know what happens, brother? You know what happens? Every 400 years, it takes 40 days to do a complete work on a plant. It takes, damn it.
Is that why Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days?
It takes 40 days to do a great work on a plant. It takes 40 years to do it on a man. It takes 400 years to overwrite a society. And that's what they do. That's why they go and they were the slaves of this country. And then they were so horrible and they abused us. But then our God's better than their God. And then we owned all their stuff. And then suddenly we're the slaves of this next country. And we're the slaves of Egypt. And we were the slaves of the Babylonians. We were slaves of this and that. But every time they own their stuff and our God, it's because our God is better. What it's called is it takes 400 years in order to overwrite the memory of a society and make it so you no longer remember that what your people even were. So they can just make up whatever crap story they want. And they've done it time and time again. Every 400 years, they move on to a new land and start twisting those people and start putting in their crazy little stories.
Was the 1611 KJV. I believe.
Why is it that? How is it the Jews were so held down, but there isn't a billionaire on the planet that's not either an Arab or a Jew?
Bro, if you want to get into some real Jew hate, read the Old Testament. Just read the prophets.
I have read their book.
Tell the Jews all they ever do.
I understand their book really well.
I
have read it. Oh yes. Have you read mine? Have you read Odin's? Have you read anything? Have you read anything pagan? Have you read the Tibetan works? Have you done alchemy?
How do you think I got here?
If you've done all that, then why are you still preaching this nonsense?
Because this is the end of it, man. This is where you end up, the truth. The end of it.
The truth isn't Chinese are coming to get you. The truth isn't Chinese are coming to get you. The truth is this has always been a religious war, always has been. They're really good at it. They've figured the game out and they're winning. Always has been. For every 400 years, they take over a new land. About 1000 AD, they did this number to us. That's when they had the Gallic War, the Teutonic Wars, the Germanic Wars.
They're not attacking us with weapons. They're infiltrating.
No, they attack us with subterfuge. Mossad, make war through deception. And every 400 years, they come in and deceive their way into things. And by the time they're done, you're like, oh my God, the Jews are so abused. You can't even talk about them. They're so abused. Never mind that they're some of the most horrifying humans on the planet. Anybody that believes that he's a chosen person of God and other people are not is a dirtball. That is true racism. I'm a Goyim here to serve the Jews.
We're just about at 3 hours. Which we've been doing really well at keeping shows at 3 hours-ish.
Right?
I will say that things get heated, but it's not like there's animosity here. That's what I love about being
No. This is
we could be sitting down smoking a joint, enjoying ourselves.
Yep.
Fucking A, this is brilliant, guys. I'm so glad y'all are hashing it out for damn sure and chopping it up. Real quick, while we are taking a breather here, shout out to Reperception, giving us a little super chat there. Maybe our last one. Since we've hit a few hot topic button topics. Anyway, thank you, sir. We appreciate that. He was shouting out to the great Baldini, who was with us in chat earlier. I'm not sure if he's still hanging out, but definitely.
Oh yeah, Baldini's a very Christian.
He's probably.
I'm friends. If I had known he was in there, I might have settled down. I'm friends.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. This is a blast.
Sorry, Baldini.
No, I love it because you can. you can feel the passion.
The
and
passion, that's what's up. Exactly. I'm loving it. Fuck.
And that's
Yeah,
why-
people are saying, "Oh, if Zach was yelling, this would be." It's like, no, I'm all smiles over here.
Right? Right?
I love these, heated
I
but
keep waiting for Savage to
coherent
pop back in.
conversations that were, this is a real conversation.
Mhm.
These are people that are passionate about this and they're having a good conversation. No, this is the good stuff right here, folks. This is priceless. I love it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. No anger. Like I said, we could be sitting next to each other smoking a joint. No
Yeah,
anger at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, you could tell.
His
No,
tone
this
is
is great.
his tone's not going to deter me from. I want to hear his truth. He's
Yeah.
teaching me, showing me any way I can take it. So it's obviously a safe place. This is what this is here for. That's how I feel a little bit. You kind of make errors a little. You want to err on the side of making errors in this case. We're trying to have light. We're trying to have all information up. So all expression, full expression. I'm down for it. I love this shit.
Yep, that's the beauty of the safe space, is that sometimes it can get a little raucous, but doesn't mean it's not safe. Organized chaos, that's what we try to be. And I hate to cut it short, but I am getting a bit of a
Rumbly in your tumbly.
Thanks for having me on, guys. And
Oh, you
again,
gotta come
I'm a
back
heathen,
soon.
so I get heated.
Great.
And
Yes,
that's not
exactly,
anger.
sir. And please come back and bring it with you every time. Don't ever hold back, even if Baldini's ass is sitting there with his pants off. I don't care. You bring
Yeah,
it
we
hard.
definitely got to get into spagyrics a lot more. when
Oh,
you come
fucking
on.
A. Somebody mentioned it in chat and I meant to bring it up earlier, and we just got so much going on.
Yeah,
There's
because
too many
I've dabbled.
things,
I've messed
yeah.
around and made my own tinctures and the 7 basics. And I got a story to tell you, man. I started growing my own hair back. And that was my intent from the beginning of the process, from planting the seeds, was I talked to them and asked them, hey, it'd be really cool if you helped me just start growing my hair back. And it was 7 different
Did you put
plants.
him in your mouth? Did you put him in your
Yes.
mouth?
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, he did.
That symbiotic relationship was started before it ever touched any dirt or anything like that. Yeah, it knew exactly what I needed.
Yep, Zach got me putting all my seeds in my mouth before I
Oh.
stuck them in the dirt. Every single.
Well, if I did that, I'd have a fair bit. Run out of saliva, I reckon.
Be like Bugs Bunny planting his garden, just fill the mouth full.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I did the market garden, we planted like 100,000 seeds in a day. That wasn't possible. No, you can't do stuff like that.
I guess spitting on them doesn't count, does it?
Well, certainly, as you are definitely welcome back anytime, Benjamin. Lucas, your family, brother, the door is wide open. You don't have to ever ask. Just drop us a link or, a note on, like you did today on Skype,
Yeah.
and we'll hop you in here as quick as we can. Wherever you
you.
are out there, Lucas, thank you, brother, so much for being here and giving us that. It was beautiful and touched me deeply, and I hope everybody else definitely was sending you lots of love. Benjamin, you and the animals, man, sending you guys lots of love with that shit. Sucks. Ugh.
I appreciate it, guys. It's rough.
Are y'all still doing a thing tomorrow? You and Lucas were going to do something, he had said. Are y'all still planning on doing that, or did we kind of keep you too late tonight and that ain't gonna work out? Or
It's only 6 o'clock in California.
oh, that's true. He's the one on the upside down part of things over there.
Yeah,
Nah,
and you guys,
this was
If
it.
you guys are going to be doing something, please let us all know and drop us a note so we can hop in there and get in the chat with you. Because man, these conversations are what it's all about. We were supposed to get into something with Cammy about the blood. We all got sidetracked. Cammy, please bookmark that in your brain because I'll forget.
Oh, will do. That's an ongoing one that we can definitely.
Always digging
It's
back into.
kind of like a whole show.
Yeah, and me and Ben will do things down the track, but me and Zach are doing a show tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Y'all moved it to Saturday, not Sunday. I forgot that too. Well, thank you.
yeah,
For
it's going to
reminding
move back a few hours. It'll be 5 Central, 6
Mhm.
Eastern,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure about Lucas's time. It won't be 7 a.m. for him anymore.
No,
Right.
it's probably about 10 o'clock or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll be
Um,
getting into batteries and things, so it's going to be good fun.
Oh yeah, Lucas and I come back on. We'll have to go through some of the stuff we're talking about, which includes tying batteries to the human body and to the sky clock, the whole nine. It's everything, just all one big ball of wax, and it all works exactly the same. It's when we finish figuring it out, it's just beautiful.
For some
I was
reason,
telling somebody
Tommy
in-
Knockers just flashed in my brain. No, Stephen King, Tommy Knockers, the whole battery thing. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. All right. We'll talk. Oh man, I'm excited. Hey, and the whole round table with you and Crow and Lucas and anybody else we can get, we're going to definitely, I've written it down. It will happen. Sometimes it takes us a while to get things off that back burner again, but it will happen, guys, for sure. Thank you again.
Yeah, those nice.
Thanks, guys. It was an honor.
Oh, anytime, Benjamin. Anytime. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a great rest of your night.
Great work.
Stuff, man.
You guys also.
Give your best to the fam.
Thanks.
That was awesome.
Fucking hey, Lucas, thank you so much for helping that happen. Because, dude, it was all about you at bringing that together for us. Thank you again so much.
Oh, you're welcome. No worries. Happy to, be a part and happy to help where I can.
I saw your bass, your guitar and your drums back there, and I was like, I'm getting excited. My only thing is I don't play drums. I was trying to figure my way through it. So I've got a special box. This is my little Donner pedal. That's the looper with the good built-in drum machine that has like hundreds of things. So it's coming. I just got to get a damn power supply. I didn't know they weren't going to send with it. I had no clue it wouldn't come with one.
Oh, it's a loop pedal with a.
I bought a pedal.
Oh, it's a loop pedal with the drums built in. Yeah, that's perfect because I actually have it's Boss and it's a 3. Yeah, and basically
I a little pricier than I was ready to go right now, but yeah.
Yeah, so I use that as basically to start the song, so I can sit there and play around until I find a nice couple of patterns I like, and then I just DI it into the mix, and then usually I'll redo it. But but what's really good about it is it actually cuts your loop to a certain length, so it makes everything easy to
keeps you from noodling too far, which is where I usually get when I'm riffing. Is I start here, and by the time I've been 20 minutes into it, it's like, what the fuck was I playing 20 minutes ago? So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I just opened it, and with the included cables were just USB to hook it up to the computer. So I'm waiting for the power supply Monday.
Well, I just got some studio monitors, so I've been doing everything by headphones
too,
and
right?
things, and it was like it was driving me nuts. I'm like, I got to get something that's, but my budget's a shoestring. So
oh, mine too, brother. Trust me, this really worked out, and the company is great. They gave me a nice discount. I'll plug them. Donner pedals. If you haven't checked them out, DONNER. Great stuff so far. Lots of great reviews out there. Go check it out on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, plug. Send me something free. Hey, why not? But anyway, guys, it's been amazing. Lord, I knew it was going to be great, and too many brain breakers. I've had to make notes to keep up with it all. So,
and Hexar, I want to sit down and have a conversation with you, find out what the hell you've been running.
Yes, thank you, Hack.
Yourself busy with all that good stuff too. So,
an amazing surprise, sir. Thank you. Don't make it a fucking year this time, damn it. Can you hear us anymore? Hell, I don't know what you've done over there, Josh.
He should be. He may be.
Are you talking to me again?
Yeah, you. I was saying, dude, don't make it a year again. Get your ass back in here. It don't have to be on the air. Just come hang out again.
You sure you can't handle it more than once a year?
Hell yes. I mean, maybe not more than 3, but at least 2. At least. No. I really do want to be able to sit down with you and dedicate a show to just you and spend a couple hours just catching up and finding out.
And earlier than John's sign-off time, because you plan it immaculately every time John's leaving and you're here.
Josh is in charge.
Yeah, and a lot of that was me too. I was kind of waiting for a bit of a lull in the conversation. Benjamin was there. I didn't want to interrupt Ben, and it was just a real good conversation going, so I kind of had to. It was tough to get in anything else. So
I like to test it's hard for me for how long he'll stay on beyond his bed.
Well, chances are he's here and listening.
Savage.
He's here. He's typing messages. You know he's listening. He's just being obstinate at this point. Or he's pissing in a bottle and can't unmute right now. Or is too drunk to form coherent words and would rather just stay muted and close one eye and try to chicken peck type out his messages to the group.
You got it.
See, we've been doing
All
this
right.
a while. We've been doing this a hot minute. But we love you
It's
guys.
good to be back, man, for damn sure. Chat, I tried my best. Hell, John was on top of chat better tonight than I was.
Right?
So, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for the love. Thank y'all for being here. Truly. I can't even say it enough. So, all right, I'm going to shut up so we can get out of here.
All right. Thanks, Hack. It was an absolute pleasure. We'll catch you next time. Well, hell, you got my number. Don't be a stranger.
Cammy, it was good to hear your voice again in the mix. I know early is rough, so I'm glad we're back on these later shows.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good to be back going again, and I can't wait for it to get warm again and the energy to start coming. So,
Right, it's about to get really cold here over the next 2 days, so I'm gonna be right there with you guys, worrying about pipes and all of it. It's gonna be fun. So,
well, it's funny. I shouldn't complain because, here it is different than Colorado when we came back from Colorado, being that Colorado, or here we had a snow day and it just brushed. I mean, a trace amount of snow, and with the rain, and it was a snow day for school. And yet it still feels cold.
and you guys have more moisture there, so it's making it even colder for you. I know all about it. Trust me. The
So
coldest winter I ever spent was in Florida, thinking I was going to be great on a rig and like in a warm place for to the winter. Oh, I froze because of the moisture in the air.
Yeah, it makes it cold. It still is not as cold as Denver, but it's cold. I like the warm, and I'm glad it's coming soon. Or I'm hoping it's coming soon. Just never a fan
Yeah, I
of
saw snow today.
January.
Another year.
You almost avoided it. Damn it.
Oh well.
Oh, well. Better luck next time, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
At least you'll have a forge to keep you warm. Anyway, I guess we can get the hell out of here. Believe it or not, you can probably find us right back here next week for another exciting episode of Have No Sphere. Right here in the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. Simulcast into Twitter, DLive, Twitch, Facebook. Yeah, all sorts of places. Anyway, love you guys. Be good. Be well. Have a great rest of your weekend, the great rest of your week, and we will see you over, well, probably right back here Tuesday and Friday mornings for the Ironworks. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Now that's a show.